Let's go! Who's up next?
Welcome, Internet, to the Xbox Empire podcast, part of the Play Some Video Games network of podcasts. I'm Elaine. Donnie's here. We're going to maybe talk about video games. Last week was sort of a therapy session.
Yeah, it kind of went down that route, didn't it?
But we were having a rough week. We're human people. We're not robots.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, I've checked for chips from my vaccine, but I haven't found anything yet.
We're not the only people. I mean, there are other podcasters that do similar things.
Yeah, it happens. Life happens, man. I'm not having a great week this week either, but
Really?
I am so low on sleep that I've reached the euphoric punchy stage where I think I'm extra funny and nobody else
That
does.
second wind.
Woo! It's like where your brain is moving faster than your body can keep up with it.
Wow.
And nothing good happens in the in-between. So, I've had approximately 5 cups of coffee today. Mistakes were made. I lost count. My husband made a second pot. Bad things are happening inside my body right now. So, but I've been playing video games. New ones, Donnie. I'm so proud of myself.
Which ones have you been playing?
I spent all afternoon playing Death's Door.
I have played Death's Door all day yesterday and today as well. I was playing it today. I got off of work around 5:30. I was like, I'm going to sit down and play this game. And my wife came home, like we did the whole, who's going to do dinner and all that. So I come down sometime shortly after she goes to church, and I sit down and start playing this game. And I'm like, I'll just play a little bit, and then I'll get a drink, and then I'll get a podcast, or then I'll get a hot tub, and I'll do all this stuff before we do. And then you messaged me, and you were like, I'll be there in a minute. And I was like, oh, it's almost 9.
So that's a telltale sign for me of a very good video game, right? Like when you lose time to a game, especially as an adult with a job and children, when you lose hours or time, that's a good video game.
It's
right.
I mean, I've got a lot of things to say, but I don't want to Rochambeau you here. Please go.
So I played through the beginning. I haven't played as much as you, more than likely. So I'm in the first area that you go to after the story sort of unfolds itself. So you're
in the cemetery.
I finished the cemetery and went to the witch's place.
Okay.
The next area that you are.
Are you in the garden,
right?
or?
Yeah. Well, it's the...
Are you in the mausoleum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. The witch's urn mansion or whatever that you're going to.
So have you made it to the mansion yet? Because there's parts to it.
No,
so you're
I haven't.
in the mausoleum.
Yes.
So you haven't made it to the garden yet.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's when I had to stop because I had to eat food.
Sure.
And
sure.
And stuff like that. But it's striking in its aesthetic right off the bat.
Oh,
it's one of those video games
stylish.
That it layers on color too. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's very black and white in the hub area.
Oh yeah, it's about to brighten up quite a bit for you.
And then you go to the cemetery and it layers in some pale green, and then you start to go to through the mausoleum and you start getting some oranges, and you start getting it's cool that they're layering in color. Also, it's blowing my mind that 2 people made this video game.
Well, that's true for sure, definitely. Just 2-person developer. It's about to color up for you in a major way in about 20 minutes.
Cool. I like the black and white. I posted a picture to both Twitter and Instagram of the sort of opening, the title screen.
Sure.
And it's just so poppy and good,
It's very the color's very soft. Even when it's bright, it's very soft. Has a very soft palette. They do a lot of cool things visually in terms of I don't even really know the way to describe it. There's always a pattern, or something's always in motion. There's lots of swirls with the wind, or
the wind.
You'll see a little gleam, kind of a wave across the grass, or kind of wave across the ground.
Right.
There's a little bit more to it. It always has a level of depth. Nothing is ever quite just there. It's not just flat.
I like the camera, the way it swings the camera when you go behind things and
Oh,
you
yeah.
kind of find little secrets. I enjoy the swing that it does. I like the silhouetting when you're just kind of off to the side behind something. Like it's gentle and subtle and not aggressive in any way, but it always feels like the world you're in is alive. Like that wind effect struck me immediately. I'm like, oh, it feels like it's breathing, like
It's
it's
very
real.
Tunic.
Yeah, yeah.
Tunic is very similar in style.
Some of the Zelda stuff has had that over the years too, where
Yeah.
it's like they
Well, I mean,
found,
it draws a
you
lot of
know,
inspiration from Zelda. That's going to come up a ton. This game is getting rave reviews kind of across the board. I've pre-ordered this game for some time now. For those that kind of follow along with us, I've been looking forward to Death's Door for a bit. Pre-ordered it during E3. Has been on my radar since that indie
it-
showcase from Xbox.
yes, right before the series consoles launched, right? Or right after? It was like
It
about a
was
year
right
ago.
after. Yeah, but it's been
It
a
was-
while. I've been waiting on it for a bit. And
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've got a lot of things to say to it. So I am in the
Yeah, talk to
Mushroom
me.
Kingdom.
Is that
which-
the next area past like the
No. No, I'm at least a couple places past the witch at this point.
Okay, so they present it to you where, oh, there's these 3 bosses you have to go fight.
Correct.
After the sort of intro. Is that the whole of the game, or is there more
I don't know yet.
past? Okay, so you're not past
You
that
do have to
point.
get those souls, but I haven't reached those 3 souls, so I don't know. I
Uh,
haven't looked up
for-
a guide. I haven't looked up
Okay. Yeah.
up a walkthrough.
I don't want to look up anything because I'm enjoying
No,
it
neither
so
do
much.
I. And
You know, like, it's good.
all right, so I got a lot to say. Let me take a drink.
You take a drink, and I'm going to say 1 or 2 more things. For as much as this game pulls its inspirations from like dungeon crawlers like Zelda, it also has a very Dark Souls vibe. And I don't say that lightly. I love those games. It has a Souls vibe in that the areas are these interconnected worlds with shortcuts that you unlock. And when you get to the boss and die, you essentially respawn at the entrance to the world, but then you can work back through your shortcuts to go refight the boss kind of right away. At least the earlier couple bosses that I've grappled with have been like that. And I love games that do that. I love as you move through a world and click a switch, you see how it loops
That's
back
the thing
on
that I've
itself.
always wanted in like the roguelites.
Yeah, I
That's
get
the thing
you.
like with Hades is like, I made it to the 5th world or whatever and go all the way back to the beginning.
Sure.
It's like, why can't I just start there? Like, why do I have to go all the way back? So
I find that
I like that.
Yes. It's incredibly satisfying. It's always been satisfying in all of the Soulsborne games too. Because you can't see how that happens from the start of an area. You don't see it until you come through the shortcut and go, oh, this ladder. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I just love that. I think that you build this like 3D image of the area in your head and you can see all the points where it injects back to itself. It's one of my favorite things that open space games like this kind of do.
Sure.
I love it. Big fan.
Well, as
Tell me
you
how you're
already
feeling.
probably know, another thing that I like about that, just to piggyback off your point a bit, is that as you progress and open up your arsenal and gain more abilities, like a good Metroid game, you're going to see a lot of paths along the way that you just can't get to.
Correct.
And when the game gets harder and you need to level up, you can come back to those areas that you've been in before, and you can use those doors to get there quickly.
Yep.
And you can kind of, go down the secret path, go down the little side that you couldn't go down before. There's tons of like these, you'll see like these anchors with like a
Yep.
little, there's got to be like a grapple hook or a chain or something, because
Maybe.
later on they're everywhere and I can see all kinds of stuff that I can get that I just can't get. There's just no way.
There's clearly breakable wall segments that
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see
I've already started
that you're
those.
going to get. You got those.
Yeah.
It's like and there's weapon slots. Like you start
Mm-hmm.
with, the D-pads, like you have a bow and there's 3 open slots.
Yep.
You know there's going to be stuff. You know there's going to be, and then it's got the souls mechanic of kill guys, collect souls,
Yep.
cash them in. But I haven't seen an instance where they take them from you when you die. You keep them.
You keep them. Yeah, no,
Which I also love.
I would have quit this game if they didn't.
I was afraid when I started it that it would take them from you when you died and have you do a corpse run. I don't mind that mechanic because I like the Soulsborne stuff, but you would have quit this game.
This game has already gotten me very close to quitting. It's
Really?
walking a tight line. I love it. It's great. It's excellent, actually. It's one of the best games I think I've played this year already.
agree.
I've only played it for 2 days, but in 2 days' time, it definitely already feels like that. However, it is challenging.
It's hard.
It's not.
Yes.
It's fair.
It's the Dark Souls moniker.
I mean,
if you learn the enemy boss patterns, you can do it.
It's fair.
Doable.
It's definitely fair. It drops you in a lot of like rush arenas, and then the bosses all have like their own special abilities, and you have to learn them. At times, I wish the spawn points were closer. Most of the time they are, but there have been a few times where I'm like, oh, now I got to walk all the way back. So like, and it's minor. I'm probably being nitpicky to some, but it is a challenging game. I've died a lot, and I have already gotten. I give it a lot of credit in this way. I am very sensitive to games where I start to feel frustrated, and when I start cussing and like squeezing the controller and stuff, typically that's for me to get off the ride. Now, I know that this has become very like in vogue. I think this past generation is where gamers that I guess grew up on the Nintendo Entertainment System, they love to tell you that. They're yearning for games like this that kind of push them forward, and that's why like the Souls-like games have come up in popularity. There's a long-standing debate that even like last week this was topical of how hard is too hard and should there be easy modes and stuff like that. I never really get into those debates. I realize that I'm not like an expert level gamer, not very good. So for me, when games like that, I always use Hollow Knight as my example. Like, I can't beat Hollow Knight. I'm not good enough. Like, I'm just not. It's just too frustrating, so I quit. And I don't think I'm bad. I've beaten all the Ori games. Like, I don't think I'm bad at games. That game is just a level more than I want to go to. And, but I don't think it should have an easy mode either. I'm totally fine with games like this existing. I don't need them to be there. I do think I would have loved Hollow Knight if I could have kept playing it, because everything about it I loved. This game is really, really close on the fringe. Multiple times I've been like, this is it, I'm done. But I always seem to get through, and I always seem to get an upgrade, and I always seem to have something like right at the end to just, all right, I guess I'll keep going a little bit further, and I just keep going a little bit further every time. I mean, it's balanced that way very well for at least somebody of my skill level. Now, talking to Devin about it privately, Dev seems like he's just walking through it. So
yeah,
he
I haven't
must
had
just
too much
be
trouble either.
much better at games than I am. But
well, there becomes like this. It's not even that he's better. It's just that some people just latch the patterns faster, and then can react. You know what I mean?
Well, so I fought Grandma. This would be a really good barometer check for everybody, just in terms of skill level. I fought Grandma, and I probably died of Grandma like 10 times, and I had to keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. I don't think Dev had any issues with that. Dev was through Grandma, it sounded like, in like 10 minutes. So if anyway, that puts anybody's skill level. No, I did get through. I did eventually get through. I think what it is I just lack patience for games like that.
That's what it,
I feel like I'm wasting time.
Right. But for me, somebody who I like challenging games under certain circumstances. And this is one of those circumstances. When they're balanced to fair, if you are willing to invest the effort to them. So I like the effort of learning the boss patterns, getting good enough to do it.
Sure.
My tolerance for that is higher than yours, right?
Definitely.
So
I think most people's tolerance is probably higher than mine.
I think there's a level. I think there are people who will have enough tolerance for this game who don't have enough tolerance for Bloodborne, or there are people who have tolerance for Hollow Knight but can't go to Dark Souls. Like, there's a line, right? For me, this is kind of just like just right where I don't have to be stressing and thinking about it too much.
Sure.
But it's still satisfying for me.
My tolerance,
as somebody who likes it,
was stretched so you can upgrade your skills, your spells. But they're hidden. There are these hidden things, and I found one, and I was like, all right, I definitely want to do this, and that was like really testing my patience. I died again and again and again and again, and I was like, if I can't beat this guy, I'm just going to quit this game. And that's what I did with Hollow Knight. It was like I got to a point in Hollow Knight, I was like, if I can't beat this person, there's no way I'm going to beat this game. Like, this game is just going to get infinitely harder, because this game definitely does that. They introduce an enemy, and then they introduce that enemy with all the other enemies, and then they introduce 3 of those enemies with all the other enemies. Like, you just keep
I love
going.
that.
But I did get through it again. Right. So far, it is one of those things where, it's taken me a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, but I keep getting through. And as long as I keep getting through, I don't think I'll quit. The question is the question for me really is, do I run into a point where I can't? Like, is the final boss in this game what I would, if I had to guess, a boss rush of every boss in the game right after. Because if it is, then I'm probably not going to.
I'm gonna say that in this genre of video game, that is not often done.
Okay.
I have not encountered the Soulsborne games do not do that. They give you a hard final boss that multiple phases you, but they don't ever give you every boss you fought again. Because
I
that's
feel
boring. No one wants to do that.
I don't feel like
sucks.
it's so hard that I can't do it. I just feel like it's
Right.
very unforgiving. It's like if I just was able to take 2 more hits instead of 4, like if I just
Sure.
dealt a little bit more damage, because a lot of times you also don't know exactly like where you are in the fight, just based on the
Yes.
phase. You don't have a whole lot of feedback. Like, am I doing anything? Like, is anything happening here?
You can see them start to show like red cracks more and
Right.
more, and it's a very old school way to look at it. But they don't have a health bar, right?
Yeah,
like
you don't know.
that is one thing that other games in this genre do, where they show you a health bar.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight did that. Lots of games do that. I don't hate that in this game that there's no health bar. I like the tension it gives me. Like, I live for that adrenaline rush when you get it and you're down to 1 hit.
Yeah.
I love that. That's such a good
I think
feeling,
that's
and it's very
definitely something that
satisfying.
I don't share with a lot of gamers. I know a lot of people they
Right.
like that tension. See, I just feel stressed and frustrated. I'm like, why am
That's
I
fair.
doing this?
Yeah.
But I didn't grow up with games like that. Like I guess like to me, I don't get a whole lot of satisfaction from that feeling.
I understand.
But
I totally get it.
to give this game a lot of kudos, I think the reason I keep sticking with it is there are tons of hidden things that you can find that have nothing to do with combat that can make the game easier on you. You can
Yes.
find crystals to increase your health and increase your magic. I still haven't got 4 of them yet. but
Yeah,
I've gotten
4 gives you 1 more bar.
I've gotten 3 of them. I don't know how many are in there. I would love to hear that there's 3 or 4 of them in there. I'm imagining there's only 1. I'm thinking
I
like
don't
you can
know.
only get 1 more. But if I could get my health
Yeah.
bar to like 6, I'd feel much better. Because for me, I honestly just think it's like a dexterity thing. I just don't think I have like that response time that most people have.
You could decide to grind and go through previous areas and collect souls and
That's
be
what
able
I've
to
been
upgrade
doing.
your strength. You can do that. I'm so stubborn. I didn't do that in Hollow Knight. I was just like, I am marching forward.
It's
You're going
so I'm not doing
forward.
that. I'm not upgrading the strength and the magic. I'm doing that as I come across it because here's the thing.
Right.
It'd take forever. It would literally take hours. I mean, it would
It's-
take. It's very slow.
Yes.
You kill
There-
one enemy and you have to kill them to get 1 point.
Some of the bigger enemies will give you more, but it's very stingy about how much.
Yeah,
it
but
gives
you need even very early
4,
on
6, and then
8,000. Yeah, it's
hundreds.
you need a lot. So it would take a long time to do that. But there are soul like gems that you can find that are scattered
Yes.
about, and you
They
get
give you, like,
those in
100.
chunks of 100, and
Yeah.
there's literally littered with the place is littered with them. They're everywhere.
I would like to go through this whole thing, finish it, and then double back with a guide just to see what little bits and bobbles I missed.
See,
and
I'm
where they're
going
hidden.
through trying to get most of everything.
So am I.
already.
But I'm gonna miss something.
Well, some of
'cause I
them you
always
can't.
do.
Like I've spent hours, and I'm sure because especially like when you see those anchors, like those hooks,
Yeah, there's got to be something.
you've
for that.
got to get a rope or something. Like they're not
Mm-hmm.
there. You just can't reach those. But I think I've gotten a lot of collectibles. I've gotten a lot of the weapons.
Yeah, me too.
I got daggers, which I really like. Daggers are very helpful because you can do more swings.
Did you get the stupid umbrella?
I got the
in
umbrella.
hub world. It's
Yeah.
so dumb, but I love it. It's so stupid. I love it when they give you a useless weapon that just looks fun. Like
There's lots of those secrets are hidden on like different levels. They're hidden in things you can't see, things you can't find, hidden pathways, and that's very Zelda. And I'm just loving canvassing the map. You light lots of lanterns and do stuff like that. It's very Zelda in that regard.
That's fun.
So I'm doing a bunch of that, and I think that's what's helping me keep going. Where somebody
Right.
that's good or better at me than me, they may not have to do that to get through. But for me, it's keeping me like, in the game. It's keeping me
Sure.
kind of on a level playing field. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It's like I said, it's really, really great, even if it's a little bit more challenging than something I would normally get into. But don't let me take on. That's not look. That is all criticism about me as a player. That has no criticism about it as the game. It seems like they've made the game exactly the way they wanted to, and like I've already said, I do think it's expertly balanced. It's very good.
I'm very impressed with. I never feel like I die because an animation frame drops
Nope.
or something happens to
Nope.
cause it. It's tight. It's just it's a quote get good kind of game. Get better, learn the enemy attack patterns. It's $20. I think there's still launch window discount, $3 off Xbox and PC right now, I believe.
I didn't even know there was a discount. I paid the $20.
I bought it at $7. I got it for $17.
Nice. I bought it whatever it was when I pre-ordered it. This is a Devolver joint, as most folks know.
By Devolver,
I buy all the Devolver things. So, I do want to say I have one major gripe. It's a very minor dumb thing, but it really is bothering me. But before I do, I also want to say like the story and the dialogue is great, and it's very funny, and there's lots of bird puns, and everybody calls you Beakface, and it's very, very witty, and the story overall actually seems like it has a lot of depth. Like it kind of has like some meaning if you want to extrapolate some out of it. So,
there's world mystery to it that you would not maybe have expected to. It definitely has that Dark Souls like creepy world vibe going on. It's good. And the music is excellent.
Oh, the music is incredible. Oh, damn. I meant to look up who did it because my wife seems to think that it's from a game. Like she seems to think it's very similar to a game that I reviewed years ago. And I was wondering if it might be from similar folks, but the music is incredible.
I would buy it on vinyl if they release an OST. Yeah. It's just got that ambient chill. I love the music. I would totally 1000%.
I mean, kudos to Xbox. They got this as a timed exclusive. This is definitely like if this had hit Switch first, this would be on that pedestal of Switch darlings, Hollow Knight and Golf Story and everything. People would be talking about Death's Door. And to be honest with you, if it was on Switch, it'd be like all the rage right now. Like it would be on top of the world.
Yeah. But it's doing very well on Steam, by what I understand.
That's good.
And I hope. I mean, what's the timed exclusive? Is it a year?
I have no idea.
I hope it does come to Switch, but I wonder how it would run.
Almost guaranteed to, right?
I wonder how it would run because there's enough
at times
stuff.
when it pans, there are times where it gets a little framey. Not in the action, thank God, but at times, like when the camera's panning fast, like it looks like there's a little stutter there. But I mean, it's pretty simple enough. Like I would imagine it definitely come to Switch. It'll come at 30 frames a second, but it'll definitely come.
Yes. What's your gripe? Tell me your gripe.
Okay. I have a gripe. When Reaper attacks, he moves slightly forward. You cannot stand still and swipe.
Correct.
And I'm having just a really hard time, like not hard time, but there are lots of times where apparently I am under the impression that I can swing and stop. And I can't. Like you just move just an inch forward. There are lots of platforms and stuff later where you have to hit it for the platform to like swing you across. And if you're not directly aimed like at the backstop, you literally would swing and just walk right off the side. I only did that like once, but that's when I noticed it. And then I also noticed it quite often in combat. And then every so very infrequently, actually, I'm going to say that because it might even be my controller. A few times I noticed that I feel like almost like a twin stick shooter. Like I have to be very deliberately pointing in the direction that I want to swing. I can't like face the direction and then take my finger off the stick and swing and stay in that direction. I can. However, in certain combat, I have noticed that like, let's say I was running one direction and then I quickly turned around and I wanted to swing behind me. And then it would just swing in the direction that I was quickly running back the other way. I even captured it. I have it on video because I was like, this is so strange. And it was very infrequent. It was like 1 out of 4 times, and it was really bothering me. I changed controllers, and I didn't have it again.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, like, I'm not having that experience where I feel like I'm ever out of
like
control.
Just the ever so slight bit on one of my controllers.
Like looseness
drift.
On your sticks.
Yeah. I might need to get in there and like blow it out or something because I captured it and was all ready to like, I was going to DM the devs and be like, hey, is this like intended or you see this? And then I was like, well, just to be sure, let me change this. And I couldn't recreate it with the second controller. And I was like, so it's got to be that controller. Now, since that's happened, actually, I haven't gotten to a big boss fight since then, but I had finished Grandma like shortly before I captured all that. And then since then, I've actually found the game much easier to play.
You could have just been having issues with...
It might have been that. I might have been fighting my controls and it was like, because I kept feeling I was so slightly off. And in this game, that matters a lot.
In games like this, that matters.
You can get hit, if you're slightly off, like you can get hit. But I when I switched controllers out, I was like basically like trying to find all the hidden stuff and secrets. So then I switched controllers, couldn't recreate it, and I was like, well, I'll just keep going. I went immediately to the overgrown forest and just breezed through it, actually.
Right.
And I'm now in the mushroom dungeon or whatever. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's just I felt more, I guess, maybe a little bit more in control. So maybe even a lot of my, it's a little hard. It might be the controller. I'm not sure because I haven't been able to put it under more duress. But
stress test.
Yeah, but I mean, I
situation.
definitely had the video, and yeah, it was just strange, and that might have been what was causing me some heartburn with Grandma because I just kept, just ever so slightly I get hit, and when you only have 4 of them to go, I mean, you know, it can be tough. But
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's the life bar is short, and you like. It's funny because like 1 or 2 of the early bosses, like I treated it more like a hack and slash game than a Dark Souls type game, right? So I went in guns blazing, and I realized I took hits early and I got stomped. And I came back in and I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and watch this boss attack. Oh, here's where I can do this here, and I can perfect through. It's no big deal. So you definitely have to. You have to move with intention in this game. You have to dodge and roll and use your iframes, and you have to. You can't mash attack. Funny
you say that. The guy that I was having a real hard time with my spell, I actually got much better when I stopped rolling and played slower.
Yep.
That's when I just started walking around.
Yep. You don't need to roll everywhere like you do in Zelda, and you have to understand that you have essentially a slash combo where there's then a delay after your combo finishes.
That is why I like the daggers. The daggers let you do 6 swings instead of 3.
Instead of 3. The sword is 3.
You just get to go.
So you can tap 1, 2, and then roll away. You don't always need to go all in, and I think that's the thing to learn. This game is real good, and I highly recommend it. I think Donnie does too. Check it out.
Oh, definitely. Did you play the Tunic demo?
No, I haven't yet.
Because they're not quite the same. Definitely not in combat, but very similar in terms of layout. But the Tunic demo, I think a lot of people found out in the last demo, is that really like you lose all progress once you play. Like once you die.
Oh.
It drops you all off when you lose all your stuff, and then you start all over again. If that's the way that game is intended, like I won't be playing that game that day.
I understand.
I've been looking for this. I was looking forward to that game for years, and then when I got it, I was like, nope. Not the game I was expecting it to be.
It's very my jam. So I would really enjoy it. I love roguelikes. I like that loop. It just is satisfying to me.
Okay.
So, no. That's me.
I would prefer if all of those games had checkpoints like this game.
I understand.
If that was the easy mode, I would have finished Hades. I probably would have finished Dead Cells. Like a lot of that would have went longer for me. Because that's the thing. When I was talking, Dev was like, maybe me and Dev were chatting about it, and Dev was saying, like maybe I just don't get bothered by dying a few times in a row like you do. Like it just gives him no frustration. And for me, especially with the roguelites, it just feels like I'll do it for like 30 minutes, and then I'd be like, that's 30 minutes I could have been spending a game. I'm actually making progress.
I look at it different. I look at games like that as like, I'm going to do a run, then I'm going to go play something else. I'm going to do a run, then I'm going to go play. It's my daily like check-in game. Like I did this with Isaac. I do this with Dead Cells. I've done this with Hades. It's like maybe 2 runs, maybe. And then I'm going to go play something else. And then I'm going to come back to it.
I feel like that's
the
strange
next
because when I feel most of the folks talk about those, they talk about like that one more run, and they just keep going.
Some people totally treat those games that way. If I go too long, then it's diminishing returns. I get worse because I get frustrated. So if I play 1, 2, maybe 3 runs, and then bounce to a story-driven narrative game, oh, cool, I
think the folks that really love games like this, they would point like the finger back at me and they'd be like, yeah, but every time you die, like you are gaining progress, like you are getting better.
You're learning something.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. It's valid. And to me, I look at it that way. Like, and also the runs themselves are just satisfying. Like sometimes it's hilarious the way you die and it's so stupid. I've had deaths in Isaac that were super dumb.
I will say in our parting on Death's Door, I will say that the longer I've played it, the better, like you definitely feel improvement with better weapons and better upgrades and stuff like that. So hopefully maybe by the end, maybe it's not, I'm sure it will be, but maybe it's not as challenging. Maybe you can start to feel like you've got a little strength in your character, because like I've definitely already started to feel it as I've gotten towards it. And I have no idea how long it is.
Neither do I. I'm curious if some games scale to the power fantasy of you're super powerful at the end. Some games balance the difficulty along with your upgrades. I'm curious to see which way it goes. The balance of the full game is always more interesting than the early game balance.
Yeah,
for
but I'm
me.
already starting to see like enemies that I used to take 4 hits to kill, take 2. Like
Sure.
you're starting to get there.
Well, yeah, because you are stronger, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to loop those enemies in, but then they're going to layer on harder ones. So I'm
course.
curious how they manage that as the game.
And sometimes in these rooms, especially in the dungeons, you don't have to kill everybody.
No.
Sometimes like
Move
you
on.
could just get to the next room and that
Mm-hmm.
because you're trying to, especially if like you're going for like the boss or something or a mini boss, like it's almost about managing your health to get there.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Souls experience.
Yeah,
See,
I
this
hate
is
this.
your version.
This
This
is
is an
awful.
approachable one. It's not awful. You like it. Don't.
I do
start with
like
me.
it. I do like it.
You
I just
like it.
I hate this game design because
so
it's so
crotchety.
challenging.
It's hard. It
is
feels
hard.
good sometimes.
No.
Let the hate in. Let it in. Are you playing anything else, or has this been it for you?
I played a lot of Zelda over the weekend. If I played something else, I don't remember it.
I'm still dipping in and out of Resident Evil Village. I like it
Oh, yeah.
more now the further I get into it.
Did you see they patched it on PC to let you do like DLSS and I think super resolution?
Yeah, so now I'm just like, why didn't I buy it on PC?
Yeah, I'm like why aren't they going to release it on console?
They will
I
eventually.
wonder how long it'll
or-
take AMD to do super resolution on consoles.
I don't know. I'm fascinated by that.
Did you see any of the they must I don't know why, but all of the press folks were doing super resolution like articles this week. They must have been trying to do like some sort of concerted push or I'm not sure if they gave them graphics cards, but I don't think so.
Probably.
It sounds like they were just running it on cards they already have.
I don't know. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those articles this week, and I've just been like unengaged in it, like not engaged. It's just,
Jeff
I
did
just
really
don't-
good comparisons. Like
He did.
It's not as good as DLSS, but I think
It's
he
good.
put it well. It's probably good enough. Like
It's
for
absolutely
console,
good
it's good
enough.
enough that I don't think people would know.
Especially in games that move fast.
Yeah.
Like that, you're not sitting there picking apart. You know what I mean?
It's
like
one of those
games
things
that
where
wanna
it
move,
gets really close and you can only tell the difference if you like zoom in on a
You're looking for
still
it.
frame.
and no one does that. when
Nobody
they're
does
playing a
that.
video
Like
game.
that's
We
not
don't do-
a that's not a
We
thing.
do that to wave parts around on the internet for how good our graphics cards are, right?
Yep.
We don't do that when we're playing video games unless you're a sociopath.
So I'm
No
all
one
for
does
it. Let's get the Super FX
Yeah.
going
Let's go.
on consoles. AMD, what are you waiting on?
They got chip shortages. They got big problems.
People are trying to do Village. It's just a patch. Just patch it. Tell Xbox.
Just
flip
game
the
development
switch.
is hard.
Just-
That's not how this. That's
just
not how
turn it
any of
on.
this works.
Right? It's like a plug in to your notepad editor. You just download DLLL, unpack DLC.
This is why game developers hate us.
Just
You know that, right?
Plug
This
it in.
is why. They
Here's
hate
the
us.
USB.
hate
They forgot the USB, Elaine. Just plug it in. Super FX.
my temples hurt for these people. Just like, oh god, game development's so hard. Make them stop. Make them stop. All right. Well, onward and upward. We're going to talk about some news. I guess there's things happening with Ubisoft, so we're going to talk about Ubi. They announced a new game. It's called Tom Clancy's X Defiant. Is that what we're calling this?
That's what it's called. I'm gonna
That's
be
a really.
I'm gonna be real clear. It's a slow news week.
It's a slow news week. We got lots of listener questions. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't get nervous.
Most weeks I honestly would never even have really thought to include this. But Unlocked, their entire podcast was dedicated to this. They're like, we need to talk about this. And when it popped in my podcast feed, I didn't listen to it. Sorry, Ryan McCaffrey. But I looked at it and I was like, my honest response was like, do we? Do we need to talk?
It's a free to play FPS. It's 6x6v6 in an arena. It's like factions from all of the Tom Clancy universes, which no one asked for. I mean, I didn't. I don't need.
I don't think
this.
anybody asked for this game.
There's a beta. You can sign up. I don't care. Actually, it's gonna make me sound terrible.
I'm glad
They
you said it
released-
because I was totally prepared to be the heel. Like I don't.
No,
care.
I don't. No, this is like. There could not be a game I am less interested in.
It's good that it's free to play because I was going to call it cheap Call of Duty. It looks like cheap Call of Duty. Like when I saw them play it and everything, I was like, why wouldn't you just play Warzone? Just play that instead.
Or anything like anything else.
I just assume that
Play
everything
Apex. I
in
don't
Call of
know.
Duty is in Warzone. Like you
Yeah,
could
sure.
do,
That's fair.
everything in there, I guess. I don't know. I haven't played Warzone since it launched.
Here's my thing. I don't think the Tom Clancy universe factions are interesting enough to make a game where you tie them all together.
So
They're just kind of boring. Like to me personally. I don't
So
care.
Ubisoft, to tie Ubisoft news together, Ubisoft also, since last time we recorded, they delayed Rainbow Six Extraction and Riders Republic, and they confirmed that Beyond Good and Evil is still in development.
And so is Skull and
Bones. And they said that Skull and Bones has entered alpha.
I don't believe you.
The game has been in development for 8 years.
I will be fully gray before that video game comes out, mark my words.
So I bring those delays up to just point out that in that time, they've launched a Tom Clancy mobile game that's being shuttered. They've done Hyperscape, which you assume will be shuttered. Now they're doing X Defiant, and is it working? It is a bad name.
I don't think they care if it's working, because they have so many teams across so many studios that this is them injecting this thing into this slot to
this
give
is right
them
off the
something
heels that
for
they're,
right now.
they're going to do, Creed Infinite. It's just like they are really, really trying to get a game in that space.
They need one now. They want something now, that because they know they have to delay Rainbow Six.
Can they just make a damn Splinter Cell game? Can you just make Beyond Good and Evil? Can you just make an Assassin's Creed game? Do you have to do this? Does everything have to be, infinite loop, free to play, pay us forever game?
That's where the money is, Donnie.
They're chasing trends that aren't there. Like, they make billions of dollars. They make so much money.
They do make a lot of money. I just, like I said, though, this is like, I watched the clips of this and I'm just like, man, I don't care about any of the Clans universe.
For them coming out and they're going, yeah, we're still doing Beyond Good and Evil. It's like, where's the proof? Because you know why you don't have Beyond Good and Evil? Because we're too busy making Tom Clancy's X Defiant instead. F off with this
you
noise.
know that's not the truth, though. You know that's not the truth. You know how big Ubi is and how many studios they have. You know this is a completely different group of human people.
But there's 8 games that they've announced and haven't released, and they've released this.
Yeah, I know, but like,
and Hyperscape.
They have a lot of humans to employ. They're just keeping people busy. Like I'm glad people still have jobs. Like, I'm actually glad that they're still able to employ people to make games like this. That is fine. I could not have less interest in a free-to-play FPS in the Clancy universe. I could not have less. It's not possible. It's nearly negative. I just don't care.
I mean, I'm that same way, but it has really nothing to do with Tom Clancy. I used to love Tom Clancy games. I've always wanted them to do Vegas 1 and 2 remastered. I'd buy the hell out of those games. Do that instead.
Do not mistake me for saying I don't like Clancy games. I just don't think they have memorable characters or factions. It's like they're all military dudes.
Yeah, they were real. I watched the thing, and they were real big on talking about their factions. They're like, we'll have the wolves from so and so game, and I was like, I don't know who these people are.
They all look like with different ski masks.
Because here's the thing: I was watching them play this game, Elaine, when they were showing off, talking about the guns and everything. In my head, I swear to you, I was like, this is just The Division.
I thought, it's hard for me not to see The Division.
That's the thing. Hard. It's like they've got The Division, they've got Hyperscape, they had this game, they had a mobile game. It's like Stop, Ubisoft. Stop.
All the Tom Clancy factions are
just
the same faction.
Stop.
Different
I thought we
masks.
had The Division for this. I thought this is literally why The Division existed. Aren't they doing The Division like all Destiny thing, a free-to-play Division thing? They showed that on their roadmap.
I don't know.
Why the hell are you doing this if you're doing that? Why do two of them? Why 2 of them?
Because they can.
And that's not good enough. Because they can. That sucks.
Well, no, it doesn't suck, because by doing this, look, do I want
something
this?
else.
No. Well,
do The Crew.
No, please don't do any more of The Crew. Okay, those games are not great. I don't care about them releasing a game I'm not interested in if it keeps people employed at their studio and having jobs.
Heartland. Thank you, Adam. They have a game like this. They have a game.
They have lots of games like this. Yes. But I'm not mad that they're making something else, because this isn't actually impacting the things you really want. Because none of the people who are working on this would have worked on the things you really want anyway.
Yeah, but they could have worked on something else.
Something else you don't want?
No, something else that I did want, right?
There's lots
of things that they can do. They just don't want to. They don't choose to.
I mean, they're not choosing to do the things you want, but
I don't believe that there's an entire studio, Elaine, working on Beyond Good and Evil for the last 5 years.
No, that's not. Just like Skull and Bones is a nightmare mess that they're like.
I do think there was a studio working on that, and I think they've pared it back. But I do think that was an active development, because we've seen it. We've seen bits and pieces of it. Like, we know that it actually exists. But Beyond Good and Evil, that was conceptual at best when they showed it.
But we always make the leap that because there's a group of people working on this thing I don't want.
I realize that Ubisoft has studios across the world. But I also
It's
realize
not-
that Ubisoft has 4 games that, and to me, they might as well be the same damn game. We're
I
talking
don't
about taking
disagree with
every
that.
Assassin's Creed game and put it in one big hub. Then why the hell isn't this a hub? Why don't they have a hub for all of this stuff? Just Ghost
look.
Recon and Wildlands and Extraction and X Defiant and Hyper. Just put it all in a hub somewhere.
Can we just? X Defiant is a really stupid name.
It is a stupid name. It's really
Who
dumb.
whiteboarded this nonsense?
They've got to partner with Xbox.
No, they're not going to partner. That would be too easy. Who does this? Sticking a letter
And they
on
gotta
the
put
beginning
Vin
of a
Diesel in it.
word. They should put Vin Diesel in it. Okay, I'm on board again. I'm here with you. Like, whoever is trademarking this, like, all right, we have a really good word, but let's just stick a letter in front of it thing.
And I feel
Don't do
bad
that.
being a curmudgeon. I'm
You are
not
a
really
curmudgeon.
in that mood. I saw a lot of people are excited about this, and it's free to play, and that's a great thing. People could just get to play a free game.
Yeah.
It's just I want so much more from Ubisoft than that.
Sure,
and
I get
it seems like that's where they're putting so much of their investment is. They are trying to find a Destiny. They are trying to be in a Warzone type space. They're looking for a cash cow game, and that has never ever been what I've ever wanted from you. Like, they couldn't be further from what I've ever wanted from Ubisoft completely.
I'm going to break your heart. I'm going to break your heart. They only care about what drives their investors.
Yeah, I know. And but seriously,
You know what I mean?
But this is the problem with games, right? There's not just games. Anything that you rely, if you're just looking to expand shareholders' value in the company, and just record revenue, right? Then you lose what got you there, for them investing in the first place. Like, at some point, you have to look at investors and go, "This is good enough."
That's not how corporate America will
That's
ever
how-
work. As much as I don't disagree with
That's
you.
how Nintendo works.
Yeah, but Nintendo is in a very unique position of having IPs that people will buy like blind. Completely
Ubisoft
blind.
wants they make Assassin's Creed.
Not everybody wants that. Nintendo's share, like grapple hold around video games is.
I would die for another
Ubiquitous.
Rayman game.
I like Rayman.
Oh,
Those
and
last couple were
Rollerball.
really
We forgot
good.
about Rollerball, another one of their games that was announced that haven't come out yet that's free to play that you can
I
spend.
forgot all of that video. All about.
And
that
I was
video.
actually interested in that game before it was the first of 12 games just like it that they're releasing.
Like, look, yeah. I mean, I'm curious to see what shakes out of the next 2 or 3 years.
At least we're still getting Rabbids.
I don't know. Shh! Don't scare it away.
This
But that's-
Defiant game will be out before Rabbids.
That
In what world does that
Rabbids-
make any damn sense?
Because that Rabbids game is not just up to Ubisoft. Like, that's not. There's
I know
a
that.
bunch of red tape. Calm
I know that.
yourself.
No, you're being too
not.
you're being too realistic.
I know. I'm being
Like-
not you. Somebody has to counter your curmudgeonly anger, like with
Well, I mean, it's
actual
just like-
real world realism.
We're talking about
Calm it.
shareholders, and it's like if you were from a shareholder,
true.
if I was a shareholder of Ubisoft, I'd be like, why are we spending time on this? Like,
No,
didn't you
you
just
would-
do Hyperscape and it bombed? Like, why
No.
isn't the Mario game ready? Like, let's
The
do
shareholders
that.
don't know that the shareholders don't know the names of any of these games. They see a line item with how much money they stand to make. That they don't care about
Well-
that. Come on, man.
Okay, well, if that's the future of Ubisoft, is just we're going to take everything we've ever done and we're going to make X Defiant games out of it, then I'm going to not. It's like that's
Sure.
crushing my soul because
And that's your
Ubisoft's
choice,
one of the best
absolutely.
publishers in video games for the last 15 years.
They have
And,
been very good.
It's
They have
not because of this.
They have had their share of missteps. Let's not forget Assassin's Creed Unity's launch. Okay,
Yeah.
they have had problems. Like
Hey,
So-
and I'm being too cruel to Defiant. Maybe Defiant's awesome. Who knows?
I'm sorry, that's not the right name of the video game.
X Defiant.
Thank you.
X gonna give it to you.
Thank you. God,
I'm just using
X gonna
Defiant
give it
as the whipping boy
you are
for
You
not
are. You're
liking
mad.
this direction that Ubisoft is going down. It's pissing
I
me
hear
off.
you. I hear
Every
you.
damn time they talk, they announce another free-to-play loot grind, give us money every week game, and I'm just
Yeah.
sick of it.
Well, it's because you want what you want.
Of
You know what
course,
I mean?
can only
And there's-
want what I want. And you know
Right.
what? If you don't like it, get your own podcast and you can say there.
Man, why are you? All right,
I'm
I
not
guess
talking
we're
to you.
fighting now.
I'm talking
no,
to
I
the
know you're not
listener.
talking to me. I just
I'm
had to,
talking
I
to
just had to.
our listeners, you know, like
Let Donnie have his temper
I can
tantrum,
only
don't
bring my
worry.
own opinion to our show.
Sure,
right?
and both of
and
us
that
can, right.
that is absolutely my opinion. If I could get Eves in a damn boardroom, like, dude, you got to stop this. Please stop.
I think they're literally throwing darts at a wall and just to see what sticks to makes the money, and then they're going to iterate on that thing. That's what companies like them do. They're just so big.
Like we
Yes,
crushed
I want-
UbiArt to have 5 of these when they could have put 50 UbiArt games out instead. Like those games were amazing.
I know.
Where's
I
Rayman?
I want a Rayman game again. I want Assassin's Creed.
The
that's
last
a little
Rayman
bit
game
tighter.
on Wii U was awesome.
Both of those, both Rayman games in that generation were exceptionally good platformers. They were very good. They're adopting the EA model of let's see what works. Speaking of,
Doesn't
EA.
it feel that way?
yes, it
It's a good
absolutely
segue.
does.
I don't want to stop you from doing there, but I mean,
Yeah, don't mess with
it
my. Don't
feels
mess.
like that's where they're like. But we see
Yes.
EA for the last 2 years have what come way hard to be like, we're not doing
But-
that. That's not us
But
anymore.
they had to have the bottom fall out of the well.
That's
first,
where it
and now
feels
they're
like
over.
Ubi's going.
Yes, they're gonna have. It's
That's
gonna
what
happen.
scares me. It feels like Ubisoft's just going down this path, and everybody
Let
seems
'em-
to be okay with it.
It's like a child. You can tell your children not to do stupid things, but sometimes they have to make their own mistakes. That's where we're at. we
Adams
have
is
to let them
chasing
make.
Warzone. They are chasing
Yeah,
Warzone.
they are chasing Warzone. They're chasing
Grand Theft Auto
successful
Online.
and
And Destiny.
Destiny and whatever else they want to chase. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
EA, on the other hand, has started listening to people, and they are still working on. They've announced that they're still working on Skate 4. It's being developed. They're
What a
not
weird
going to show
announcement.
it. Yeah, we're working on it. We're very excited to bring it to you, but we aren't going to show it at
It
EA
won't be
Play.
this week.
Then why say anything? Like,
Tis not this day. I guess just to, check people's expectations for the show. Was it tomorrow?
His show is going to be what, like, 2 things.
Hopefully it's
You're
PGA
good.
Tour. If it's PGA Tour, then
You're not going to get PGA Tour, or maybe you will.
they announced that that they're going to bring in the LPGA Tour.
Yeah, that's
Into the
dope.
game.
I did see that. I
cool.
thought of you. So yeah, Skate 4 is happening. They're working on it. It's not going to be at EA Play this week, but they're working on it. I love the skate games. I'm glad to see this. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
we're going to switch gears. And
How
we're gonna
long do you
talk
think
about...
that skate game is out? Because they said that they're like, in the blog post, he was like, we've been working on getting the studio together. I was like, that means
1 to
it's
2
going to be a
years.
way.
Yeah, not next year. Maybe next year, the end of next year, earliest. Depends.
Yeah, I don't know.
Depends on lots
I don't
of
follow
things.
it that much, but when I hear them talk about
Yeah.
we're still working on getting the studio and getting people together, I'm like, oh, that's 2 or 3 years away. 4
Yeah,
maybe.
could be. Could be. I would say 2 because it's EA and they throw money at problems and churn
Yep.
games out pretty quick. So I don't think I would say 4. I would say 2. But I could be wrong. They could be kind of like hiding how far along they are too. Maybe they're not telling us the whole story. Who knows?
Sure.
Who knows? All right, let's talk about good things. Let's talk about Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
This past couple of days, we've been starting to see preview coverage, people giving early impressions. People really are enjoying this video game a lot. I've seen some really wonderful takes about deep enjoyment of Psychonauts 2 on my social feed. I've seen you've got a note here that people are saying it runs better on Series X than PS5.
yeah.
Are we saying that that's, is
They
it
released the specs, and a lot of people are mad over it.
interesting?
That's why I put it to the bullet point. I've seen it in many YouTube thumbnails and everything. It's full 4K, native 4K, 60, even up to 120 frame support on Xbox Series X. And basically the PS5 version is 1440. I think it's 1440 60. And the reason is because it's running the backwards compatible version. It's
Yeah, the PS4
version of the
Right.
game, just basically unlocked on PS5. So it's not a native PS5 version. I don't think they were committed to a PS5 version when they did the Kickstarter. So I don't know if that has anything to do with Xbox at all. My intention, I would be willing to say that I don't think Xbox is stopping them from doing that.
I absolutely don't think
It
so.
might come later. I'm not going to be shocked at all to see Double Fine announce a PS5 version at a later date, or an upgrade or a free upgrade. It's not intentional. I don't think it's intentional. There's lots of people. That's the scuttlebutt. Oh my God. Phil Spencer's holding back Psychonauts 2 on PlayStation. It's like, guys,
I'm too tired for this.
they're releasing it on PlayStation. Like, they're not purposely making it bad to hurt you. Because that's the scuttlebutt. That's the thing.
That's silly. I am
silly.
excited.
It's stupid.
That's silly, and I'm not going to waste more brain cycles discussing it because
Okay.
that's silly. But I am excited
fine with
that
that.
this. I am excited that this game is getting positive because this
Stellar
is the game
reviews.
that
A lot of people.
yeah, and this is the type of game that because it's first game in the series was so like well received and like is very niche loved, this could have tanked out because people are like, no, where's my Psychonauts? It's not the thing I want it to be. So it's very heartwarming as someone who loved that first game to see the impressions I'm seeing of the second game. Like people straight up saying like this is a game of the year contender is a lovely thing.
How do you feel about that? I think that's
It's
a good talking point.
It's halfway through the year and I never love that because I feel like
I don't like it. I don't think I like it when preview coverage associates a game title with that. But here's the thing. I also think to be considered for Game of the Year, I think you need to be one of those games that gets that sort of preview coverage.
I am of two minds.
There is
yes,
that association. When people start associating you with the term, then all of a sudden like puts you on the list. Like journalism and
yes.
and there is something to be said about like industry groupthink. Like if IGN and GameSpot and if they're all starting to say it, then all of a sudden their readers and the people that follow them on Twitter and the people who listen to their podcast, then they start to think it or at least believe it or at least address it. And all of a sudden, like you've got people talking about it. Whereas if they didn't and it comes out, and I actually think that's important. I think when you look at the Game Awards and Jeff Keighley makes his little list and he announces it and everybody goes and votes on the website, a lot of those games were marquee releases during the year that had those cycles. Very rarely is it like a hidden gem, that like usually it's the game that most of the folks were like, yeah, this is a Game of the Year contender. So I think it's important, but I also think it's saddling a game with expectations before it releases. I'd rather wait for that sort of connotation with reviews instead of previews.
Yeah, fair. I guess it depends on the way we're looking. I mean, if people have Final Code and they're playing it and they're giving those kinds of impressions,
I think so.
Then I'm not going to tell them they
coming
can't
out like
say
next
that.
month, right?
Yeah, the game's
close
done.
to final.
They're playing the video game.
Yeah.
I think it went gold. They're playing the video game. So my issue with it has nothing to do with it being a preview versus review situation because there's a very fine line between that stuff this close to release.
That's a good point.
We're in there at this point in release. My issue is more like an expectation that it places on a thing early in the year when there's still a lot of game to come out.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think it's wrong to use that term either, though. Like, I'm of two minds here. I think, to your point, games like this, sequels, and littler indie games, when people say that, it does get others' attention. And there are industry folks who review games who may have just, I never played the first one, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think getting those people on board to play this game and give it some attention is valuable, especially when you get towards those end of the year conversations. And it's valuable for people like, in the greater Twitter sphere who may have skipped it because they didn't play the first one. And the first one, you got to have a lot of nostalgia there. I would argue it has not aged well. So it's hard to play now.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Xbox finally had a Game of the Year and it was Psychonauts of all damn things that they've had for 10 years and they couldn't? They rarely even get nominated in the category. And
I know. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either.
It would be. I don't think this game is going to carry it. It would be wild, especially for this game, especially a sequel indie game like this. It'd be wild.
And knowing a lot of the journalists that played this, and I'm not just trying to make a connection here, I do think it's interesting that so many of them were that was the almost like the marketing headline coming out of previews. Like I saw a lot of outlets running with the Game of the Year thing. I wonder if that has anything not to do. I'm trying to think of the right way of wording this. I think it's interesting that I think it's a good sign for the game that so many people started saying that after having played Ratchet.
Oh, yeah.
That means that Psychonauts it's got to be really, really good.
Memorable.
Yeah.
I
there's
feel like
something there that really grabbed them. For them to come out with that sort of praise after Ratchet's already released,
sure.
That's pretty strong.
The first game had that memorable quality for me. It was just it wasn't a perfect game. It had some clunkiness. But it was memorable. It was unique also. You couldn't equate it with something else. It's just its own thing. It's a platformer, but it's it's got a wonky story, but it always felt like
I never played the first one. And to be honest with you, I don't play many Double Fine joints. I didn't grow up with Grim Fandango. I didn't play a lot of those games. But I love a platformer and it's on Game Pass, so I'm definitely going to play it.
I think this sounds like what I want, and that makes me excited. Like if it's this kind of memorable for this many different people across this many different outlets, and seeing those people and how they have different tastes, that says something about the quality of the video game
Yeah, I think
to
so.
me. Yeah.
I think so.
I'm excited about it. I'm pumped. All right, let's see what else we've got. Okay, right, that happened. Valve announced the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
It's a handheld computer that looks like a Switch. I pre-ordered one.
About twice
I
as
wanna
heavy,
see.
about twice as expensive.
It's a big
It's gonna
boy.
be about twice as powerful.
It's a big boy. It's a chunky boy, but it's running some iteration of SteamOS.
It's a brand new
not-
iteration of SteamOS.
Yeah, it's hot, fresh, and what they're doing with it is actually sounds like they're going to phase out big picture mode
That's exactly what they're doing.
and make that they're going to use this.
That's
for
very
that.
exciting because it looks
Yes.
way better than big picture mode.
I use big picture mode because
Like
my
begrudgingly.
Well, my TV is my third monitor,
Sure.
and if I use big picture mode, it makes sense,
Right.
right? It's a giant STV.
But you don't
it's
want
not my
to.
favorite.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite thing. No, it's not. But I'm not mad at it. I just don't like. It's just.
I had a Steam machine and I got it for big picture mode, and
Oh, no,
it's
I'm sorry.
Not good.
That's bad.
Yeah, somebody who just like I design a lot of front end style sheets on the internet for folks. The design of big picture mode is bad.
It's not good.
You know what? Bad might even be for its time. It was pretty good. but it's
outdated.
Completely out. It's archaic at
Yes.
this point.
I
mean,
agree with you.
outdated in design years.
Yeah.
This thing is ancient. It is so
Yeah,
old.
sure,
It's like
sure.
dinosaur
It's
old.
fossilized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like when you see what we've done with Netflix and Prime and digital libraries and OS and
Agreed.
UI and mobile UI and Snappy UI and Divi and stuff like that, yeah, it's archaic. And this is a big glow up.
So yes, this will. One of the best benefits of this little thing is it's going to give you an update to what is now big picture mode. We got a question from Ahoy Adam. Game Pass on Steam Deck, if done, should it be cloud, baked into Steam, or custom OS installed? You can install Windows on this device.
You can.
And have Game Pass.
You
And
don't know
have
if
Game
it's
Pass
gonna
as
work.
a native app. That's a big if.
I just want to be
would-
clear. I'm pre-ordering one, and I will have my Game Pass on the go, so I'm with you. But just to keep it 100, you can. We just have no idea how that's
have
going to work. We don't know
no
if the
idea,
games
right.
are going to work, if they're all going to work. We don't know if the mouse will be supported, if the controller will
know
be supported.
nothing.
The whole damn
We know
machine
nothing.
might stop working. Who knows?
Jon Snow, we know nothing. I would love to see it baked in to Steam. That's a deal
yeah,
I would like
that's
to see Microsoft
the deal we
cut.
want Xbox
That's
to make.
the deal. I want them to cut it onto this custom OS.
Yep.
Oh, baby. That's what I want. That's the deal. You want to ink a check? That's the check to ink. That would be a huge...
Who's cutting the check to who in that situation?
Microsoft has to cut the check.
To Valve?
Absolutely.
But putting Game Pass on Steam Deck only helps Valve. I feel like
No. Those are all games that people could be buying on Steam. No.
But those are also a whole giant community of people that'll buy that machine and therefore use Steam more.
That community of people is an incidental part of the people who
See, this is
already
the whole
use
like
Steam.
Game Pass on Switch type thing, all the same thing over again.
That's different. Because Game Pass on Switch are people who may
Yeah,
not
but
have. There's the Steam crossover is like a freaking two circles on top of each other Venn diagram. If you own a machine and running Steam and you really want Game Pass, you can do that right now.
Sure, but you
You
can't
know?
do it on the Steam Deck.
Well, no, but how well does it run?
I'm hoping, to be honest with
you
you,
know?
I'm hoping that this is literally just Xbox saying, "Hey Valve, we want to work with you to make Game Pass work in Proton. Let us know what we got to do." I don't think there needs to be a check exchange. To be honest,
I
with
think that Valve could argue that for every person putting Game Pass on, that's game purchases that gets taken away from Steam.
you. So how do they account for that then?
They just get a
How does
one-time
Microsoft
deal.
account?
They write a check.
So Def
The same way they
floated
do
a
for everything
really
else.
sweet idea on Game Tech where he is thinking of like some sort of premium add-on. You want Game Pass on the Steam Deck? It's $5 extra, or something
I
like
hate
that.
that. That's gross.
I'd buy it.
That's kind of gross. I know you would.
You would too.
I would actually rather take that money and leave the two things separate. I don't. This thing's kind of
Until
heavy.
Forza comes out and you want to play Forza on the go.
I don't want to play Forza on the go.
Until
Forza's the game I want to
Halo
play
comes
with.
out, until Hellblade comes out, and there's
Yeah,
enough
just-
games
but-
coming
but-
out.
Like, here's my thing. Where, though? I'm 38 years old and the only place I go is to work. Like, where? I'm buying this thing because I think new tech is cool, not because I want my Game Pass games on the go. I'm a unique
I didn't
outsider
necessarily
to
want them
Venn
on the go. I just want them on portable. I might not go anywhere. I might just go in my chair and then pick up portable play right there.
But
Just
if I'm
because
in
I
my
can.
chair, the TV's right there.
I say the same thing all the time, and then sometimes I just sit down and play the Switch. Or if I'm upstairs on the couch, sometimes I just sit down and play the Switch. I could go downstairs and play it on the big TV, but sometimes I don't.
I do that only if I want to be in the same room as other people,
See?
but it's
Yeah.
but I don't. But then I'm playing a game where I can have a conversation while I'm playing it, and I'm definitely not doing that with Forza. It's usually like
Yeah.
Tetris. Let's be real. I don't know. I would like to see them develop a native app.
I think they'll
for
just
this OS.
I think they'll just do the streaming.
I agree. That's the
I
way
think
it's
the
actually gonna
streaming
go.
will be available natively through the Proton compatibility later, and you can
Yes.
stream. And I will probably do that until a game comes to make me do it the opposite way. Like, I'm okay with just streaming it because Steam has enough that I'm okay. Like, having Game Pass with native controls on the go, even if it's streaming, probably good enough. With Steam games to run locally, good enough to not mess with it too much. But eventually, if they don't, I will wipe it and put Windows on it.
I have a Steam library that is larger than the Game Pass library by a significant amount.
Wow, that's impressive.
I have a 900 game Steam library.
Wow.
I am good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I am
You've got-
good. Do you
you're
know what I
playing
mean?
it. Which
That's
model did you get?
The highest one.
Okay.
Because I wanted the anti-glare glass. That was actually the
Storage
reason.
is much faster.
Storage is faster.
Even over the medium model.
I would have gone with the middle one because this is just a toy to me. Like I
A lot
realize
of people
how that
think it's
sounds.
the same storage, but it's not.
No, it's faster storage. But I
Faster
wanted the
storage.
anti-glare glass because this is the type of thing I might take with me on like vacation or just like in well-lit areas. Like that's a real pain in the butt.
I kind of
Like
want
the
to use it as a
reflections.
desktop.
You're gonna be able to buy a dock, right?
Yeah. I just, like, I have this strange thing. I want to go to my work and have nothing but, like, a little dock and a monitor and just set my Steam Deck in and be like, all right, boss, I'm ready to work.
So
I
there
pull
was
up my
a
email on my Steam Deck.
there was a Samsung phone back when I worked for Lockheed Martin that had this like a dock like thing that you could connect to monitors and stuff, and people
Yeah.
could like,
Yeah.
yep. I had a coworker who did that and wrote.
You can do
code
those
on
with
it.
Galaxies.
You can, but this was like the first iteration of
Yeah.
that nightmare, right? And he like wrote code on that thing, and I'm
Wow.
just like, bro, you're living a choice.
It's dangerous.
You're living a choice. That's what you're doing.
It's cool.
All right, so tell me about this last story. It's a good one.
Xbox, so all these headlines came out since we recorded last week. I think at some point
Right.
they feel old. But again, slow news week. Xbox led June's MPD.
That's
In
lovely.
terms of highest selling hardware via revenue. Switch still most units sold, but Xbox made the most money. June dollar sales of Xbox consoles set a new record for Xbox, besting the previous high set in June 2011.
10 years, a decade.
It's always good sign. It's always good to hear that a company or a product you're invested in is doing good. It just means it'll get more support. But I actually bring it up to make a different point. Because a lot of people are talking about the console wars and the set like that. I could care less. And I think as Xbox continues to not report numbers, I think less and less and less of that matters to me completely.
Agree.
So I'm totally fine with that. I actually bring this up to make this point. I think E3 matters.
That's an interesting.
I've said this
point.
for a long time, and I think the pomp and circumstance, the pageantry of Xbox, when done well, when done well, of course, let's put in that caveat of E3, when done well, significantly boosts morale and leads to customer sales.
I think that's interesting, but the problem is there were only 10 days of June after E3. So there were 20 days of June before E3. My thought here is that they're doing a better job of getting consoles to market than Sony is right now. I think this has to do, and I agree with you that E3 matters and it does drive customer interest in the segment of people who pay attention to E3. Let me say that. But you only get to cash in on that if you can get hardware into market. And I think that I have seen more of these boxes been available just anecdotally through notifications, especially the S, actually, where they're getting those things out there. I think they're getting boxes out there and they're doing a better job. And I think that's helping them move boxes because people are like, well, I can't find a PlayStation.
It's worth
This
noting
S will do for now.
PlayStation 5 still year to date or from launch to date fastest selling console ever.
Yes. I
So
believe,
they're doing a
yes.
great job
Ridiculous.
of getting consoles out there. They've gotten more
Agreed.
of them sold than everybody else.
Correct.
But for the
Correct.
month of June, Xbox
Yeah.
surpassed them. So it might just be a shipping blip or something. And I'm not saying it accounts for all of it. I'm just using it to make that point because it's
You're
the
right.
point I want to make. It's
Yeah,
the point
fair
I've
enough.
made for years.
Oh, we're skewing the data now.
I
I
think,
see how it
and
is.
I think there's tangible evidence when you see the Switch do well, when you see it showcased well, it leads to significant, it drives significant purchases.
100%.
When you see the Wii U don't, and there's nobody in line when it launches, when you see PlayStation completely trounce Xbox on stage when they launched the PS4 and then it launches the way that it did, I think it
Absolutely.
matters. I've always
I
said
do-
that about E3. I think it matters. When you do it well and when you do it wrong, it also matters.
I was going to say it
It can go the opposite way.
because $599 for the PS3 mattered, and that was an
and
announcement.
it is
at
short
E3.
term, right? It's short
Yes,
term,
it's a quick burn,
but it still is. It's a blip in the radar.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I do think that for the subset of population that pays attention to E3, a good performance at E3, if someone's on the fence, can 100% skew a purchase. Absolutely. Especially if it's somebody who only has a Switch or only plays games on PC and doesn't have a digital investment already in a console,
Sure.
right? Like, that's part of it too. This generation is unique. A lot of people are buying PS5s because they have so many PS4 games. Like, Sony's benefit from last gen is carrying over for them in a big way, and Microsoft's playing from behind, and that matters.
Well,
so
we
them
talked
having
about it after E3. A lot of people were saying this is the best E3 showcase Xbox has ever had.
I agree.
But a lot of people, we talked about it then. How many people that day after their presentation, when they showed
I need a series
so many
console.
games
Yeah.
coming to Game Pass, they're PlayStation owners. They're like, all right, I'm in. Like, I've got to get one of these consoles. Like, I can't sit on the sidelines anymore. It's
Right.
worth owning.
And a lot of those purchases might have been an S. If you already cashed in
Sure.
on the PS5,
Yeah.
maybe you grab an S just for Game Pass. I have a friend who grabbed a Series X shortly after E3 because it's like 20 out of 30 games showing for Game Pass. I can't say no to that. It's going to save me money in the long run.
Well, that's interesting because they won revenue, but not units sold. So I'd actually say a lot of this probably were the X. Because they sell the S really close to what the Switch sells for. So if they were
Maybe.
to win by revenue, unless it's like marginal, if they were to win
I
in
think this is-
revenue,
Without hard concrete numbers,
yeah,
this could have been squeaky.
like
Do you know what I mean?
6
Like
units.
dude, it could have been like a couple grand. Like
I'm
it
sure
could
was
have
a
been
lot more
very
than that, but
squeaky.
You're right. You're right.
It could have. Let's not like get crazy here. It could
Yeah.
have been a squeak, and it probably was a squeak because consumer spending is in a very particular spot right now.
I mean, the month
people
of June was also like just trounce last year's June numbers across the board.
because
It
people
was
have
up
more.
like 400% or something. A lot of people are buying
Yeah.
consoles this summer.
Well, they got a little bit more economic, stability. Jobs
yeah,
are coming
more people are
back
coming
from a
back,
pandemic.
More people going back to work.
Like last summer was, and a lot of people last summer were not buying consoles because they knew new ones were about to come out too. Last summer was in a unique
good
position of like stuff's coming out this
Yeah,
fall.
but
I'm not
last
gonna
summer
buy.
I sold a PS4 Slim for almost $400. Like last
Yeah,
summer,
but that's
everybody
anecdotal.
was trying to buy anything because we were all
Everything.
locked in.
Yeah, but a
But
lot
I
of
do
those
think it's
people were
funny. A
buying
lot
Switches.
we're open, and it's
Yeah.
still it's even better. Like the growth. Do you think we're heading towards like I don't want to like get all crazy and like a downturn, but like a squeeze back to some normalcy, like a recession, a small recession, some bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not a financial person who like. Are you talking just in video games?
Yeah, just in video games. Like, there's no way. Like, if we're up like 100% from last year, and I would assume last year was up 100, 200% from the year before, there's no way to expect that in 2022 or 2023, like that just keeps going. At some point,
I would say
we hit capacity.
when we reach the point where you can walk into a store and buy one of these consoles, then yes, the growth will slow.
Okay.
Like, but the problem is every unit that gets put out right now is getting snapped up. So
yeah, they can't meet it.
they can't even keep up. So once you start to get to the point where they're stacked up in Best Buy on Black Friday, just take one at up $50 off. Yes, then it's going to be a different conversation. Right now, it's going to take another year before these chip shortages give them the right to put out enough consoles to even catch up to demand. Like, it's nuts. It's bananas right now. So we're in a really unique, weird spot. The combination
weird.
of the pandemic and the chip shortages are creating this like rabid demand on everything.
Yeah.
So
Gotta
which
get
is
'em.
cool.
Because if you don't get them now, you won't be able to.
I think it's driving people to pull the trigger on a
It's
console
the Wii model
quicker.
that everybody makes
Well-
fun of.
I really do think that people who normally might have waited are pulling the trigger faster because they're like, well, I won't be able to find one
Every
by
time
Christmas.
Phil and Jim say like, hey, we can't make enough. Like we've got shortages. And AMD's like, it's going to be a while, guys.
Well, and then you think this is just going to get worse going into Christmas.
Yeah.
Because
like,
there are
it's that
parents who are
uncertainty,
going to be...
like a gas rush, It's that uncertainty. Like everybody's buying them while they can.
I think that's driving a lot of this big jump. Like people who normally would have waited till, I'll wait closer to Black Friday, are like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get one.
Meanwhile, Nintendo's just sitting there and just waving their hands like, oh, you couldn't get one? Hi. Like,
I don't care.
We've got a box. You can buy one of these instead.
It's genius.
Yeah.
It's genius. All right, our financial armchair analyst hats are away now. Let's talk about the thing we came to this podcast for. Let's talk about Game Pass.
Game Pass podcast.
Donnie, what's coming out and what's leaving the Game Pass?
Battlefield 5 hit cloud. Chris Tales is out. By the way, for anybody who's wanting to play Chris Tales, apparently there's like a bug that's stopping people from progressing. It like just basically just turns your controller off. They did say if you detach and maybe resync your controller, you can keep going forward. But the developer is patching it. They're working on it. But those are out now.
Sure.
Atomic Crops comes out the 22nd. So does Raji, an Ancient Epic. Last
Raji's
Stop.
Good.
Which reviews hit for today? That's your Annapurna joint?
Yep. Blinks, though. Blinks.
I've never played Blinks.
Blinks the Time Sweeper, July 26th.
I've heard about
Cloud
it
and
on
console.
Podcast Unlocked for years. I've never played Blinks.
Also, I love Crimson Skies, which is also hitting on the 26th. It's a dope game. Flight Sim on the 27th to console, correct?
Yeah, console.
What else we got?
Lethal League Blaze, which I don't know. I've never heard about.
I don't know that one. No.
Omno, out July 29th. That's one of those indie joints we've been tracking. Project Wingman is out on PC July 29th, and The Ascent also drops on July 29th.
July's game.
Yeah.
July's game.
Mm-hmm.
The game. Leaving, It Lurks Below, The Tourist, and Undermine on the 31st of the month. If you want to play those, get them done now. I don't know. I don't care. That's dismissive. I'm not interested. It's fine. So that's more dismissive.
Raji's real good. It's been a really good month. Like I said, if you haven't played Bloodroots, you should play that.
Yes.
Raji's real good. Chris Tales looks amazing. I have no idea. I haven't checked reviews, but
it's an RPG.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play Omno, and I'm definitely going to play The Ascent.
Yeah.
It's a good month.
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's good stuff.
I'll probably play Last Stop. I didn't know it was coming to Game Pass.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I'll check. I mean, if it's on Game Pass, I'm going to check it out. That's how I work. All right. Well, this show has actually run longer than I expected it to, considering we had no news. But Donnie goes on rants about Ubisoft.
Ubisoft.
We go places. We go places. Hit me with a question, man. Pick one. What you got?
TPR writes, we got some fantastic indies coming this month to Game Pass. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing how The Ascent turns out in Raji. Death's Door recently released as an Xbox PC exclusive, which looks fantastic, and I'm sure at least one of you have played by now. How likely do you think... how likely do you both think Death's Door hits Game Pass in the next 6 months? I personally think there's an excellent choice.
I could see that hitting Game Pass when it releases on other consoles. Like when the exclusivity it runs out, I could see it dumping into Game Pass at the same time it skirts onto something else. I could see that 6 months to a year. I could see that happening.
I could too. I mean, didn't Carrion launch into Game Pass?
Yes, Carrion launched directly into Game
There's
Pass.
a lot of Devolver games that have launched into Game Pass, so I wouldn't rule it out. Here's the thing, TPR. I don't like the idea of you waiting for it. I'm not trying to tell you to spend your money. It's a really good game. It's worth $20.
Small studio, good game.
It's only $20.
I agree.
That's the thing. It's like I look at this game and it could have easily been 30. Probably should have been 30. Even if they had sold it for 40, I probably still would have bought it. And having played what I've played, I would tell you for 40, it's good. It's better than a lot of games are for 40. The fact that it's at 20 makes me feel like, it's a really rewarding $20 bill.
Yeah, I wonder, it's probably not super long. That's the only way that I see it because of the price.
I'm sure it's not. I think you can beat it in a weekend if you're, good.
It's just, it's
10 hours, something like that.
It's good, man.
It is good.
It's good.
It's a good game. It's quality.
If you don't have the funds,
definitely.
If you don't have the funds,
if it's going to squeeze you, definitely. But I hate the idea of like a really good game like this. People are like, I'll just wait for Game Pass. Like, I get it, but this isn't a wait for Game Pass game.
Well, this is the loop that Game Pass does create,
does create.
with indies for a lot of people, and
a
I
challenge.
get it. I get it. This is a challenge, and I
Yep.
do get it.
But this is better than that. This is better than most.
I think this one's worth your money. I'm gonna
Last
say it
Stop
that
is a
way.
wait for Game Pass game.
Yeah, sure.
Raji
Sure.
is a wait for Game Pass game.
I liked Raji.
I like
but
Raji,
yes.
but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Death's Door.
But this game is special.
Death's
It
Door
feels-
is you get it on Game Pass, you buy the copy for yourself, you buy the Switch version when it releases, you buy the stupid limited run version. Like that's Death's Door.
Yeah.
I'm just
it's
trying
good.
to put expectations, trying to set them accordingly.
If you have issues with Soulsborne games and
Yeah,
frustrations with
maybe not.
them, then yes, wait. If
you like
do
Hollow
not,
Knight,
and you,
Spend $20 on Death's Door.
I agree with that statement. I agree with it. All right, I'm gonna take Rude Days 93's question following it because I like it. Question for the show at Xbox Empire. I want to ask this to the PS XP crew too to get their thoughts. What do you think is the bigger racing game now to the general public, Forza or Gran Turismo?
I looked into this today a little bit when he asked
Oh,
because I was interested because I think it's a really good question.
It is a great question.
I have my own personal thoughts on what I think the gaming audience is bigger, but I wanted to look into like what is it doing sales wise.
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed that they seem to be like almost neck and neck. Best that I can tell, Gran Turismo Sport seems to have sold about 8 million copies. That's the number. However, that number, as best I can tell, originated from a investor's basically prediction. So there's also a lot of it may be
Wiggle.
around there, but let's just take it for what they said, 8 million. Forza Horizon 4 sold 7 million copies in its first year.
Wow. What about
Or,
Motorsport?
hang on a second. Let me rephrase that. Forza Horizon 4 had 7 million players its first year. A lot of it via Game Pass. But 7 million people played Forza Horizon. Like, not even its first year, like its first season, like first fall, like when it released. Then it released on Steam. And
Yes.
since it's released on Steam, I believe it has been in the top 10 Steam sales every week since it released.
I struggle with this because I don't think it's fair to hold Gran Turismo against Horizon.
Oh, I definitely do.
They are not the same kind of
Nope,
video
they're
game.
not. But they are both first-party car games, and they attract. You're talking about the Venn diagram. They attract, I think, a lot of a similar
Yes.
player.
But I think if you look at Gearhead racing players,
Sure.
it's Turismo and Motorsport.
100%.
And then Turismo's just outsold it.
I'm
I
using
think, but
Horizon because it's the last one.
That's fair, and I understand. And then there has not been a Motorsport in a minute.
I think both of them. The last that we heard from Gran Turismo in a lifetime to date sale was 4 years ago, and they stated a number about 75 million in terms of like all-time revenue for the franchise.
Well, they've been around since the PS1, so let's
And we
just
know
keep
that
in mind.
Forza, with Forza Horizon 4, they touted that the Forza series has now climbed over $1 billion in total lifetime revenue. And those are about 3 years apart. So you probably expect that they're roughly in the same ballpark.
Yeah, I would
We're talking
say
about
that
$1 billion, give or take 50 million on either side. Who knows, right? So I was actually surprised to see that they were as close as they were because when
Yeah.
he asked the question,
Your
my
gut said.
Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been around a lot longer.
Because it's been around longer.
It has a bigger name. Also, PlayStation has been way more successful during that time. They have a larger global group of players. Like to see that Forza actually had as much as it had, I was impressed. To answer the question based on like the gaming audience now, my answer is actually Forza, and I think it comes down to one particular reason that they're just current. They've released Go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually think it's because they're releasing on PC.
Oh,
I think
wow.
it has to do with Steam. I think Steam is the thing because there's more PC players than anybody gives credit for.
Yeah. Well, then both
And
consoles.
That's
combined.
huge. And
Both
I think
consoles
that
don't equal
because
Steam.
correct, I think that because Microsoft is willing to put their game onto Steam, that's where they get the bump. And if they put Motorsport onto Steam,
They will.
that's going to be the game. That's going to be the Gearhead game because it's like, well, I don't even need to buy a console. I'll buy
The
it on
question
Steam.
is then what happens if PlayStation puts Gran Turismo on Steam? Because I think
Now-
they will too.
That's going to be super, super interesting to see how they jockey in charts because they are, yes, they've started the first party games to Steam rule. They take their time though. Microsoft, and they did
For
too.
now.
They waited for Horizon for now.
For now.
I think that Microsoft's decision to put Forza on Steam sooner was a really smart call.
Yeah.
It really was, and it got way more people like, oh, these Forza
It
games
was
are
super
good.
hot. It was like a 3-year-old game. It was number one, like the first
Yeah.
month it came out. I mean, it
People-
sold a lot.
People on PC want that.
Yeah, they were
bad.
paying
So,
$60 for it too.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
even
Full
Game
price.
Pass, just $60. That's the thing. Game Pass is on their PCs, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah,
the Steam
right?
copy.
Isn't that just like absolutely wild? So like I think the Steam decision is what's going to give Forza the bump if PlayStation doesn't get Turismo on Steam fast, then Motorsport's just going to take over. And people are going to be like, "Nah, Motorsport's so good."
I
you know?
think the question really is like just zeitgeist. Like, what's in the minds of gamers right now? And I think the answer is Forza, and I think it's because, like, Gran Turismo Sport was kind of like a spin-off, right? It wasn't the, like, big Gran
Right.
Turismo
It wasn't
game that we wanted.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
in that time, since the last, like, mainline Gran Turismo game, there have been how many Forzas? They just keep coming out every year, and they keep getting bigger and grander, and they keep looping in more cars, and then the Lego, and then the Hot Wheels. It's like they just keep doing. I think year over year over year, that's earned them a lot of that mind share.
I don't think you're wrong, and I think that having Horizon for people who aren't extreme tuners was a really smart decision too, because it gives people like me who love cars an in
Same.
to have fun and still have like that level of I'm playing a serious racing game, kinda, you know. And I think that stuff's important. I love video games. I think, like I said, I think the decision to put it on Steam is what's giving Forza the edge in zeitgeist.
I also think
now.
Gran Turismo is super in Japan and the UK.
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah.
that has more to do with console sales too. Like,
Sure,
Microsoft
sort of.
Microsoft is not planting Xboxes in Japan.
They're not, but early
They're
Gran
not.
Turismo also like leaned way into like European cars. That was also a big
That's
part
true.
of it too.
That's very true.
So
And
I think for a lot of those regions, I think that's the car game, and Forza's been like nipping on that as best they can. But I think that's also a big delineation between the two series.
I agree. I can't disagree with that. Like, it would be impossible for me to disagree with that.
Are you excited for Gran Turismo on PS5?
I love car game. I'll play it. Absolutely. My first racing game was a Gran Turismo
Same.
game. I had
Gran Turismo 3.
it was either 2 or 3 for me, and I spent
I had 4 discs. I remember I had that big
lot of
big
discs.
pack disc.
a fat boy.
Yeah.
and I remember cursing a lot trying to get licenses in that game.
I remember the
that's how it worked. You had to
sunshine
get-
would like gleam off the hood. I was like, look at this car game.
There's nothing sexier than a car game.
But I've gotten
With a
off.
piece of hardware.
I haven't played Turismo in a decade. And I mean, just I wouldn't play Turismo, just like I wouldn't play Motorsport. I'll give Motorsport a try just because it's on Game Pass. It'd be like Flight Simulator, but I have no interest. I have no interest to want to play it.
I love being the jerk on your friends list whose car is just crashing into everybody who's driving a car. I'm terrible at those games. I want to be good.
But Horizon,
I so
to
wanna
your
be good.
point, Horizon is one of my favorite games, and I
Yeah.
left car games way behind. You know, because I when I grew up, I mean, they were a much bigger part of the medium.
Agree.
We had Driver, and Midnight Club, and stuff like that. And basically now it's what do we got? It's basically Turismo and Forza with like they have the Crew, and then they like. If you count Dirt, I don't count like those are like motorsport
Rally
games.
games are different.
Yeah,
for
they're
me.
different.
Rally games are hard.
Yeah, so we have
Rally
like
games-
Grid,
Wow.
which is definitely a step down.
Yeah, I don't like Grid.
Yeah,
I don't like,
yeah.
I don't like Grid. But yeah, this was a good question.
It was.
It actually made me think about it. We got a question in the chat that I wanna read because X Burke actually subscribed to us with their Prime sub. So thank you for that. Just wondering if you could recommend a good flight stick and pedals for Series X. I don't actually know that there is one compatible with the
I
console.
can't.
Here's what
I do know that there definitely is. Hang on a second.
So
I
there
can answer
are
the question.
here's the thing. There's a Turtle Beach one that's coming out soon. That's like $350 that I want so bad. That's PC and Xbox compatible. I forget what the model number is called, and I was just gonna look it up. There's a Logitech one, but I don't know if it's compatible with console. I know it works on PC.
Best Windows Central has an article. Best Xbox joysticks and flight sticks for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
There you go.
They do the best overall is the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS 1.
Yeah, that's just the 2 HOTAS. I don't believe that has pedals. Just as an FYI, I have a PC version of that stick. If you're looking for something like full on with pedals, I don't know that there's a Donnie's looking at the article. I don't know that there is one. The Turtle Beach
None
one
of
that's
these are
coming out
showing
is
pictures with pedals.
yeah, that's the thing. Pedals are what you want. That Turtle
Yeah.
Beach one's gonna be like 350. It's just, I mean, if you're way into it and everything. I'm looking for the model number of that Turtle Beach one because I have a bookmark saved. It's called the Velocity One Flight Universal Control System. It's bananas. You can Google it. It's nuts.
Astonished
It's
that
nuts.
folks like you want to buy sticks for that.
Look, dumb stuff makes me happy.
No, I'm
Don't at
totally
me.
I'm excited for it. I wish I was there with you, but
If
yeah.
I had 350,
I
I
got-
need my pedals. Yeah, man, the pedals.
I
I
got
agree.
no enjoyment from playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't get it.
I buy the pedals with the shifter for car games, even though I'm bad at them too, because I
Yeah.
just want the experience.
Like F1,
I just want,
I wanted to do pedals and stuff for F1, but I can't even do it. I can't stay on the track. I'm awful
yeah,
at F1.
I'm
It's
terrible and
so
I'm here
bad.
for it.
I'm
I
so
like the
bad
force-
at the game.
I love the force feedback in a wheel too.
I'm sure. I see
Oh,
the
yeah.
guys like on the Drive to Survive, the Netflix show.
Yeah,
All of the racers. That's
They
like
got
what
the
they
chairs.
do.
Yep,
They all
totally.
play F1 on Xbox or
Yeah.
PlayStation at home with the little pedals, and it
With the
looks
Logitech.
so much fun. You see them, and they're hitting it, and they go, and I'm like,
And
"That
they're
looks
so good,
much
and we're so
And then
bad.
I got it, and I was like, oh, I can't. I turned everything up and all the auto, and I still can't. I'm just off the
hard.
side. I'm off. I'm like, oof. I'll just
I
watch.
actually bought the steering wheel to play American Truck Simulator just so everybody knows who I am. Just so everybody knows who I am.
I'm
That's
happy to
what I did.
be a spectator.
It's fine. I agree with you. All right, pick a question here, man.
Ryan gave a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do some games on Game Pass, I believe he means xCloud, yeah. Why do some games on Game Pass include certain DLC content when played through the cloud, but not on the console? In Like a Dragon, there are at least 3 DLC packs included on the cloud version, but they're behind a paywall on console. What gives? I looked into this because I'd never heard of it until he asked the question.
I had no idea.
This is the thing. If you go on Reddit, all the DLC for Doom Eternal is in the cloud version, and it's not in
Yes.
the other one. Like, there's a
Right.
lot of this, and you know what I think the answer is? Reading a few Reddits, I think they submit the xCloud through like a separate store, like a separate
Yeah.
like platform, and it's just checking if your account has Game Pass. And I think the devs just submit the full game. I think it's that. I
Is
think
this
it's
a whoopsie situation? Like
it's
an
either
accident?
whoopsie or there's not enough people that they care enough to like
Wow.
go into it. I 100%. That was the best theory that I found. There was one Reddit thread where a developer said it was an anonymous developer. So, but I mean,
Oh.
I think doesn't Reddit have like the verified anonymous type thing?
I think they do, but it depends on the subreddits. But whatever. Let's just
They
play the
were
game
like,
and pretend this was real.
We
That's
just submit the full thing when we want to like go cloud. So
Huh.
I think it might
Okay.
just be that like they're just like just put it on cloud. Like there's
fine. Like lazy.
there's
like
not
just-
enough people that are like, I'm gonna play Doom Eternal through cloud that they care. They're like, just give them the DLC, like just put it up there.
Man, that mucks with your save if you play it like if you.
I didn't even think
does
about that.
that-
You're right, it could.
It would mess with save situations if you tried to play a game and you didn't have DLC and you
If you had
went
like,
back and forth. Like, what would happen?
I have no idea.
Bad things would happen.
I've never heard about it until the question, and I was surprised when I was like, because he asked the question, I was like, that is strange. I've never heard about it. So I was like, let's look it up, and yeah, that's a
Let's
thing.
sleuth.
There's not a,
Wow.
and there's a lot of games that do it. It doesn't seem to be a whole lot of. The other thing that I noticed, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of story content. A lot of times it's like add-on content. You're like
Yeah, little
costumes or
stuff.
guns
Right.
and stuff like that, and you just get it in the cloud version.
That's wild.
I
My
wanted
mind
to
is
say it's like
blown.
maybe Xbox is incentivizing you to play cloud, but that's not
No.
it. That's not
It's
it.
it's just I don't
It's
want to
just
deal
the
with it.
developers.
That's what
just,
this
just
is.
put it over in cloud.
I love it. I love it. This is fantastic. All right, I'm gonna read Harris's question just so we can just answer this one once and for all. Do you think Xbox will ever get rid of Xbox Live Gold, and if so, when?
Of course.
Yes, and I give them till the end of 2022.
I think the number is 45.
Game Pass subscribers?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, fair. That's fair. Yeah, they've already taken steps to limit its value.
The question
It's on
is
the
when
clock.
they cancel it, do they just like, and when the end of your game, when the end of your gold expires, you're just done? Because I think they're just going to automatically roll people into Game Pass whether they want
Yes.
to or not.
100% what they're going to do. Please.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
They're not going to
Come
just turn it off. They're going to be like, starting next time when your Game Pass subscribes, like they're
Yeah.
just going to roll people right on into it. And then there's going to be a lot of
Absolutely.
people, maybe thousands of people that just are getting charged 15
they
bucks
don't
a
even
month,
check.
they probably
10.
don't even
They'll
care.
put them at the $10 tier.
Yeah.
They won't put them at the $15 tier.
Yeah.
There's no way they would do that. So yeah, they're not even gonna know. It's gonna be ridiculous. But yes, I say end of 2022. I say that's where they get close.
And
to
they'll
the
give
number
us
that
all
you-
of our gold games forever. They'll just like permanently add them to your library.
Sure.
Do you think they'll do
Sure.
that, or do you think they'll like as long as you stay a Game Pass member?
I don't know the answer to that question.
See,
That's
I think
an
it's
interesting one.
cleaner to just if you grabbed a game via games with gold, like it's yours, like that's it. 'Cause,
I
like,
think yes. I think that's your incentive for being around and suffering the swap. I don't think they'll link them to Game Pass because I think that's a back end database move that they don't want to do.
I think that's a back end database move that they could do.
No, I didn't say could. I
Based
said
off
don't
of like
want
what
to.
happened when they were like, we're gonna raise the price of this thing nobody
Yeah,
cares
they're
about.
just gonna make this
I
quietly
just
go away.
think
Yeah.
people are not gonna like have it. They're just gonna be so mad.
I think that's I wanted to answer that question because I wanted to answer that question.
Yeah.
I also want to answer John's question. So I'm going to read that one and just take your turn.
So,
Based on what we've seen with so many games, do you expect Starfield might get delayed beyond next year?
it's a good question.
It is a good question. It seems on paper like an easy one to answer, but I think what Donnie and I have discussed with Xbox's roadmap and this game being placed to fill a spot, this is tricky, actually. My gut wants to say, 6 months. Absolutely.
My gut wants to say it's where it is because it already has been.
That's the other half of my gut that's a little gurglier in that part of my gut. But like,
I think the reason that this game is coming out the fall after next and not the spring or this fall is because
Yeah, it's
internally
that.
it's already been pushed.
I feel like either pushed or they're giving padding
Yeah.
to safety net.
Yep.
I feel like this is.
I think this is one of those things when they were looking internally and they're trying to get their roadmap. Matt Booty is like, all right, Todd, like when do you think you can do it? And he's like, we can do it by March. He's like, all right, we're going to pencil you in for November.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Yes, because we don't want to have a Fallout 76
Or a Halo.
on our hands or a Halo.
And
think
we still
they-
might have a Fallout. Like, they might release it too. That is worth saying. Because
be a shit
unlike
show.
Halo, where they're like, you can't release a broken game, there's too much writing on it.
No.
You can
They will.
totally release a Bethesda game.
It's big. Who cares? There'll be bugs. It's janky. But they have like a whole history of releasing.
What did they
a
call
nightmare.
the 76 one? It was like the
Break it early, test something like beta, but break it early, something. It was bad. I think this one is in this slot, one for safety and two because it's the perfect. That's a great November game. That's a good one.
that's a big fall.
It's a
system
big
pusher.
get it before your Christmas break game.
Yeah.
It is,
Especially
and I
if
think
it's good. Like if it's good and it's huge and it's grand and it's Skyrim and in space and Mass Effect and all that, like people are gonna be so
they're gonna go nuts.
damn excited.
they're gonna go nuts.
If it's got like all the preview buzz and all the reviews and everything, like
could-
people are gonna go bananas.
I think that my gut wanted to say, oh yeah, it'll get delayed because they can't afford to have it be bad. But I think you're probably correct in that they're putting it in the slot to give them enough time. Like I think they have enough padding. I don't think they can miss November.
I think before COVID it was being shot for this fall. And then when
definitely
Xbox
agree
bought
with you.
Bethesda, they were like, next fall, we're good.
We got Halo. We already had to. I think the shit show with Halo made them pad this out.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to do. They cannot do that again.
No.
They cannot do that again.
Nope.
All right. Before we get out of here, give me one more question, Donnie.
Okay.
Put you on the spot. Give me one more.
There's so many good ones.
I know.
Are we
people
so
came
over
with
time
it
we
this
can only
week.
do one?
No, we could do more than one. Who cares? We do what we want. It's our show.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay, David wants to know, is Call of Duty coming out this year? It's almost August and there's still no announcement.
There's no way there's no Call of Duty this year.
Yeah, I think that's right.
There's always gonna
Didn't
be a
they
Call of
do
Duty.
Call of Duty Cold War in August? I thought that was
Maybe?
last August.
I'm gonna be
It
honest.
was after E3 or the
It was
no E3.
I-
it was in the summer.
there was no E3. I never pay attention to Call of Duty announcements because I just assume there's always going to be one.
I do think I think in years past, I think they were like World War II, I think one of them went before E3. And then last year, I remember I felt like it was late, but I chalked it up for COVID. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they were to skip, I think Warzone is doing so well.
I was just going to say, do you think they just release a single player campaign
I'd love that.
and then just iterate Warzone?
See,
I
here's
don't know
the
that
thing.
they can charge
Everybody,
$60
here's
for
the
it
thing,
though.
and see, I'm the opposite. everybody's always like, just release a $60 multiplayer game. I'm like, do the opposite. Release a $60 campaign and I will pay for it. I will show you that I'll buy this.
I'd like a $40.
I don't think a lot of people will, but I will. I will.
I wonder how they're going to handle it this year because Warzone is doing so well, and I don't think they want to disrupt that base. So they're just
next,
gonna,
right?
I
Didn't
believe
they
you're correct.
skip last year?
I don't know. Everything with COVID has been so weird, and also, like I said, I don't track Call of Duty as close.
Yeah, I think Sledgehammer's up next. I do think it's coming out this fall. Now,
I absolutely
how
think they'll have
big
one.
it is, I mean, they have their own pipelines, but you've got to think it was somewhat COVID stricken. So, like, if it's like a lot of Warzone and a campaign and like a little multiplayer zombies or something refresh,
I could see zombies.
I could see that.
And I could see them just repackaging Warzone, but
that's all. They're always going to repackage Warzone
because Warzone was an exceptionally good idea and is doing very well. So they're not gonna. There's not going to be Warzone 2. They're just going to pull you through. And
every release will come with new Warzone
maps.
It'll be like
or
Fortnite. It'll just new Warzone chapter. Here's the new stuff. Here's the new Warzone.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And if you're just already playing Warzone, you'll pay whatever or do however.
Now, I do think we could get to the pace, like think of like the Creed Infinite. There could get to a point where there's just Warzone, and then like annually they're like, here's a 2-hour campaign and a zombies update or something like that, but it's just Warzone.
Do you know what I really liked? It was Modern Warfare, I think, that did like the co-op scenario missions that they dropped you into. I loved those. I would like that. Like I would love something like that. Like there were specific missions set in existing assets.
Did they ever drop
that you did with 2 people?
Did they do the Modern Warfare? They did the Modern Warfare 2 remaster. Mm-hmm. Did they ever remaster 3?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they stopped after 2.
So they might have another remaster included somewhere along the way.
I would like to see them remaster the Black Ops campaigns.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they were doing that for a while. They were doing that for a while.
I would like to. The first Black Ops campaign was.
I like that.
Super good.
You know me, I'm all for a good remaster.
I like a good campaign remaster. Let's do it.
I'd even remaster the ones from last gen. I'd be down for that too.
Yeah, but I liked the first 2 Black Ops campaigns were baller.
Advanced Warfare was fun. Infinite Warfare was fun.
Which one was the one with Kevin Spacey?
Advanced Warfare.
I liked that one. That one was good.
Infinite Warfare is much better. Do you ever play that campaign?
Okay. No, I have not yet. That's the one with space, right?
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
Elaine.
I have to play that.
Elaine is real good.
Okay.
It's the best. Okay. It's I'm not. I wouldn't say this lightly. It's my favorite Call of Duty campaign. And
it's better than Kevin Spacey being a villain.
It's so much better than Advanced Warfare.
Okay.
Now, like when you're talking about best Call of Duty war, like I'm thinking Modern Warfare 1, 2.
Black Ops for me. That
Black
first
Ops
Black Ops
1
campaign
is real good.
Ooh, yeah, that Black Ops campaign.
But I think me and Mo are the only people that hold that opinion. But Infinite Warfare, I loved. I never fell in love with a robot so much, and it was like the last great campaign. It's like 10, 12 hours. Like you get full characters, full ride.
Okay.
It's very emotional. You get the whole gambit. Like I love that game.
I'll play the game. I'll play it.
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'll report back. All right.
I would love to hear it.
I will check in with you to make sure I'm playing the right one 40 times because they all sound the same.
It's the one with the Android.
With the space. It's the one with space. The Final Frontier. All right. You got another question you want to hit?
Yeah, let's do Dano's question.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do Adam's question.
Okay.
You pick Adam or Dano.
Do Dano's. I like it better.
Okay. What's a feature you'd wish Xbox would bring back? For me, even though we can assign profiles to the controllers on Xbox, I wish they kept a little light indicator like they did on 360. That's a really good one. I don't care much about the indicator, but I am somewhat nostalgic just for like the lights and like the different meaning. I wish we had a little light feature that maybe we could customize.
Yeah, I wish we could make the ring around the X different colors.
Yeah.
I love that dumb crap. You know that. Boy, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I would really like. I liked that light indicator when we had multiplayer stuff. I loved knowing which controller matched to which. What else have they done away with that
I've got one that I think you'll definitely want.
Hit me.
But it's really twofold. So you used to have Xbox Live Gold for family.
Yes.
And then at the dawn of the Xbox One generation, when Don Matrick was in charge, they were rolling out an Xbox Family Share.
Yes.
Where you get up to 10 accounts. You could share your library with up to 10 accounts.
It's
kind of like Nintendo Switch Online, but with your entire library.
But your whole library. And then they realized how bad of an idea that was, and they pulled it back.
Genius idea, and I would love to see them come back with something like that today.
I would love it for me and the kids.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, game share is fine, like with your console share, but you are limited to just 2 boxes.
The problem is I have 2 kids and me. Yes, we've discussed this too. I
Yeah.
actually think I would like to see them take that feature and iterate it to Game Pass for
Yeah.
families, because my kids are family kid accounts under my parents.
Or why even just do that? All of it. Like, I honestly think it's just account. Like, I'd like to share my account with more than 2 devices simultaneously.
agree.
And I would pay
I
you
agree.
more to let me do that. And if my account has Game Pass, then that's included. But just my entire account. Like, if I've bought the game and or Game Pass, like,
Yeah,
what if
I
I
agree.
want to put an Xbox on every TV in my house? Like,
I
Xbox
would
right now is telling you you can't. And that's absurd, actually.
I would be fine with it under the restriction that the profiles using the games had to be child members under my family account or like owned by my
I honestly
parents'
think
account.
you should
That's
be
fine.
able to do.
Be careful,
least
because this is a
3?
digital rights. I would say 4 total yourself.
4
plus 3.
total.
4
But
total.
like, can't they do it to where like they just lock your IP or something?
I think they could, like I said, I think the way to do it is to make it so it's it's linked to the child profile.
Yeah, I
Because
mean
they,
that's
they
a
force
fair
you
way
to
do
create
it.
a profile now, right? And so they become child profiles under my parent, and that's the smart way, because those accounts are owned or linked to me until I release them when they become adults.
Yeah.
So
but like,
for the
what if you
purposes
were
of-
just by yourself and you wanted to have multiple Xboxes? Then all of a sudden you got to create fake child accounts.
But if you're living alone, then
I'm
you're
just
you're
in
just
the top.
jumping between boxes, right? You don't have this problem.
Yeah,
This problem
no,
exists. This problem exists when multiple people want to play within one household,
Yeah.
and that's apparent. That's
and I want to be able to
kid
play the same
situation.
game too.
Yeah, me too.
That's the thing.
I-
I want to be able to
I want-
play. I want all
multi-
4 of us to play Halo at the same time.
Or Gears.
Like, why
Yes.
can't we do that?
We should be able to, and I think like I said, I think it has to do with them leveraging further the family account setup that
But
they
here's the
have
thing.
in place.
Why can't I just pay them more and just let me set it up on whoever's accounts? Like, who cares? If we just give you more money.
Because
There's
they
got to
want
be
you
a
to buy-
number for that. Like, just let it give you more money.
Well, no, because they want everybody to buy the
Xbox
game.
Live Gold with family is twice the price. It's doubled if you want this. Up to 8 accounts.
8
Yeah.
is a lot. I don't think it should go up.
But
more
if you
than 4.
split it 8 ways, it's not a lot.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
then
the
they're losing
same.
the revenue. Then they're losing the revenue of people not buying full
But
price
are
games or
they?
buying Game Pass. I don't know. Like Game Pass, $15 a month for Ultimate. That's not
Yeah,
insignificant.
but here's the thing. Like Game Pass, if you got them there and they're subscribing, that means they're playing, and they'd be more likely to buy more stuff. They're going to keep doing it. Like,
Under that scenario, I would think then it's a Game Pass share and not a whole library share.
yeah, no, that yeah. I mean,
That's the middle ground, right? Like
that's
okay,
yeah, that's probably fair. But
That's
I'm
the
just
middle ground.
saying, when you're talking about monetization, we've got to look beyond just like the
You're right.
single purchase. The user retention is more valuable than if you buy an extra game or not. Because it's like, if we've got you playing on our console, then that is time spent that we can market more stuff to you.
Oh, agree. But there, like I said, there's a break-even point for versus,
There is.
and
Game
also
Pass
like
makes sense. Game Pass makes sense.
well,
I can see
because
all that.
they would have to negotiate with third-party publishers for that stuff.
But especially, let us do Game Pass, but play on the same account.
Together somehow.
yeah.
Like,
Anybody on my account can sign in and play that Game Pass game simultaneously.
up to X number.
Right. On any console. Not the home primary like on any console. So I got
Up to-
Jack,
yeah.
I've got you, I got myself, I've got to grab Kevin. We're all in an Xbox
Sure.
family Game Pass plan. If we all want to jump on that console,
Then fine.
on any console, we can play the Game Pass game at the same time because all of our accounts are in the family plan,
In the family
regardless of console, primary, home,
right.
regardless
yes,
of that.
I think there's 2 ways to look at this. There's the family plan where the whole library is unlocked, and
Sure.
I think that should be the parent-child scenario where they specifically link it that way. There's like a way that you
Yeah.
go through that.
Yeah.
But sharing Game Pass across multiple households with a certain number of people is safer, because then they don't have to start negotiating any sort of bullshit with the third-party publishers.
Yeah, because
For-
it's Game Pass. Thank you.
because
Just
it
getting
comes
the
to money,
for
it's Game Pass. They've already negotiated
Yep,
that.
they're paying
you know?
for it. Yep. As
So
with
I would
most
like-
things, Elaine, you are correct.
I'm often right. I
You are
think
often
things
right.
through like all the way to the end points. Like it's an engineer brain thing.
Yep.
But the family share thing that was they originally.
I
thought
should
of
be
as
able to
a
have more
feature I want.
consoles. Here's the
I
thing.
want more consoles.
Here's the
yes.
thing. There are times, even with all the stuff that we've done, where Jack and we can't play Xbox at the same time, and that's
Yeah.
asinine.
That's a bummer. That's a
That's
bummer.
dumb. So
Yeah, I
like
agree.
that needs to get fixed.
I've been saying this, that there needs to be some sort of family Game Pass plan too, because I don't want to buy my kids each a subscription.
I
Like,
still
there should be a
think
way to solve that
There's
problem.
a way to
you
stop
know?
piracy by just like through a check on the IP or the network. Like, here's the thing: what if you could? Should I be able to sign into as many like consoles that are on my home internet? Like, they can run a check for that, and you can't
But can't-
piracy that.
No, I think there's a solvable way to do that though. That isn't like you can register consoles to your account.
Sure.
You don't even need
Well,
to
that's
check
what I've got
IPs.
now. I've got Jack's
Right.
and mine
But-
registered, but we still can't play at the same time.
Yeah, they need to solve that
That's a
problem
pain in
because
the
that's it's dumb.
It is dumb.
But keep in mind, everybody listening to this, Donnie and I are like massive edge cases here. There's not a lot of people who have more than one Xbox in a house that they want to play at the same time.
Yeah, but the more
We're edge
the more
cases.
and more you keep going Game Pass on TVs, Game Pass on phones, like it becomes an issue.
Well,
This is an
I
issue
will.
that they need to actually solve.
They need to address it, but I'm saying for it to be like a hot issue to solve right this second,
Hobik
we're an
says
edge case.
you could have a friend VP into your home network to make it look like he's in your home.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a risk I'm willing to take, because here's the thing. I'm sure somebody out there might do that to save $60. Most people aren't going to do that.
No.
We're
most
talking
people aren't.
millions of people at this point. Like, most people aren't going to do that.
Right. I think that Microsoft can solve this problem in a way that makes the edge cases happy and brings other people into the fold as time goes on too.
Yeah.
I hope they do. I hope they do, because I do think it needs to be like, if you want to pitch it as a whole family affair, you got to solve this problem.
Honestly, if they did the Game Pass solution you said, that would probably fix it, because most of the time Jack and I are playing the Game Pass games anyway.
Right. I think that's the
That would
first
make
step.
our edge case so far out on the edge
Exactly.
remote that it rarely ever happens.
And it's not worth solving at that point from a
Yeah.
monetary point of view. And this gives an extra incentive for Game Pass for families.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And we would pay more.
I would pay more.
What if it was up to 6? If you could have 6 people in an account, how much would you pay? How much do you think Microsoft would charge? It's $100
Double.
a year, right?
Double.
It's $120 a year. So you think $240 a year?
Yeah, I think
Say you
double
go
for
200,
6.
$199. You give them a little bit
I
of
think
savings
I think that's for 4.
because you're
I
locking
think
in a
that's
lot.
I think 6 is a lot. I think they would only go to 4.
5.
That's a weird number.
5.
Who has 4 kids?
2 parents, 3 kids.
No, nobody lives in a house where both parents
5
and 3
is the
kids are playing
nuclear
at the
number,
same
Elaine.
time. Yeah, but I'm going to have a 14-year-old girl at some point who's going to roll her eyes at my Xbox. I think it's 4.
If
The
it was
number, the magic number is
4,
4. The magic number is 4.
that means that I could do it with Jack, and then I could sell our 2 other spots to somebody to help me split the cost.
See, you're the problem. You're the reason this
I
isn't
don't
gonna
know if I would do that, because I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze if it's just me and Jack. So that's the thing. Because if you're
Well,
just
if
doing it
you're-
for 2, then that's like twice as expensive just for 2 people that are already in the family. That's really
I
expensive.
agree. I know. I'm not telling you what I think you want to hear. I'm telling you what I think they're going to be able to
It's
get
a
away
pay
with.
as you go. You can just keep adding accounts at a certain number.
That's way more complicated. What did I tell you?
I
They
know
need
it is.
less
I know it
plans.
is.
Less plans.
I know it is. I know it is.
Straight up.
I'm just thinking.
I think the number is 4, and the answer is 1.5 times 180 a year.
See, I think if you, so I'm taking the Nintendo approach. You do the Nintendo Switch route where you give more people, you make it such a no-brainer to let people do it that, yeah, maybe you don't make as much money, but what you do is you sign up so many more people for so much longer because of it.
Here's the thing, though. They want to drive Game Pass subscriber numbers, and that doesn't drive.
Oh, I
them.
think it
you're only
does.
you're only getting 1 subscription and cascading it down to 6 other people.
No. But if not, if they double the price.
Oh, you still want to double the?
Yeah, like
that's
let's say they double the
that's
price.
The equivalent.
It's
That's the
two.
equivalent.
It's
Two.
225. I think 199 just sounds good, but
I
it's,
know, but
it's 240. You can have
but that's
6 accounts.
that's 4 subscriptions you're missing out on for
Right.
every one person who does
But
this.
it's also the opportunity to gain 4 new subscribers that was never subscribing beforehand.
But they're not going to show as a subscriber because they're not.
You're still going
paying.
to
Like,
count the users. Those are still accounts.
Are you?
Yeah,
Are you
they're
going to
still
count the
accounts.
users?
Yeah, they're accounts. Oh, Elaine, they are totally going to count the accounts. Every new account, because you have to have an account sign up to be included in the family
Oh
group.
no!
Right?
I hear you. I hear you.
There are people out there. I'm thinking of it like this. There are people out there that have cousins and uncles and friends that like kind of game but don't really game. If this was a thing, they'd be like, get an Xbox, I add you to my family plan. Like, that's a thing. That's a real thing. We did it in Nintendo. Like Nintendo Switch Online, we've
But
got like
Nintendo Switch-
3 groups doing it.
Yeah, but Nintendo Switch Online doesn't matter.
I
They're
know.
charging $20 a year.
I know.
They don't care.
But the value is so. I'm trying to apples to apples. The value proposition is so high that I think you'll bring people in.
I think there's a breaking point by which Microsoft no longer cares about number of subscribers and starts caring
Money.
about total revenue. That breaking
We haven't
point
got there
breaks your
yet.
argument. No, but we're
They're
gonna
still-
get there.
Yeah, but they're still giving it away for $1 a month and $1 for 3 months and new subscribers. Like this is a great way to get new
Yeah, but
subscribers.
they here's the problem. Once they institute it, they can't take it away.
Right.
So,
But I'll see your point and I'll counter you another one. Right.
for what's sake?
Here's how I would counter that.
so mad.
A lot of people joined for these discounts, and when those discounts go away, you risk the chance of losing them. Not if they're a part of a family group. They're going to be there because they're subsidizing that cost together. I think the retention is going to be stronger. They're gonna
I
stay.
don't know. I think they stand to lose more money over time when the revenue starts to matter because there's people who are going to game the bejesus out of this on Reddit. And that's where it starts to break
Yeah,
for them.
maybe.
That's the internet is going to break it. So
Expert
I think
says I'm interrupting you too much.
whatever, I'm used to it. It's okay. I got kids, bro.
We're having good conversation.
Yeah. It was good. It was all right. I'm not mad. I'd be making angry faces at him if I was mad. I only make angry faces when Donnie sasses me.
I feel bad earlier about saying folks should get their own podcast. I want to be clear. I was just exaggerating.
He was angry and needed a moment to calm down.
Yeah, it wasn't pointed at you or anybody.
No.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
trying to.
I took it for what it was. I was
Okay.
just ready to fight you for the sake of
You just
comedy,
know, like
dude.
sometimes listeners may not get the
love
chemistry
each
that we
other.
have. Yeah, they may
Yeah,
not
this is very
understand that we're
special.
on the same plane.
Donnie would cry if I left.
Yeah.
I know this.
Oh, I'd
he
shut
would
the
cry.
show
He
down.
would be legitimately
There is not
sad.
another host.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that's
it's
it.
me.
This is the end of the
He's
line.
stuck.
This is the end of the line. The Empire has been through so much. Like this is it.
If I slammed a door and said I'm leaving, he would cry. It would be a breakup. It would be bad.
Just-
It would be some
that'd be the end of the show.
Clarissa. It would be some Clarissa explains it all drama. It would be bad.
I saw her in. I'm rewatching that '70s show, and she's
Oh,
in one of
God.
those episodes. And
I didn't expect that little throw out joke to trigger a thought for
Mm-hmm.
you, but I
just watched the episode like 2 days ago. What's her name?
I can't summon that from the back of my brain.
Because yeah,
Melissa Joan Hart. Is it Melissa Joan Hart?
I think so.
Somebody
Yeah,
help
yeah.
me.
Because she
Did I
popped
nail
up,
it?
and I was like, "Hey, that's
Clarissa.
Clarissa Explains It All." And my wife was like, "Sabrina," and I was like, "No, that's
Also-
Clarissa." And she
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
different.
"Most people know her for Sabrina." Like we had
I
this
agree
whole
with you.
argument.
Your wife is right. Your
Really?
wife is correct. Yeah, your wife's right. Sorry, man. I don't.
Can we get
I wanna
Clarissa in the Smash Brothers Nickelodeon game?
Get out. No, Sam, and he carries the ladder because he always has the ladder. Sam was the guy who caught Prime.
Did you know that this is just weird factoid here.
I love this. I'm
The
here for it.
cat for Sabrina Clarissa Explains It All. Or no, Sabrina.
Sabrina had the cat.
Okay,
Salem.
crossing the
Salem the
streams.
black cat.
Yeah, he
Whoa.
also is a character in that '70s show. The little known.
They
Yeah,
brought the cat.
well, he
I
wasn't the cat.
used-
It was just the voice actor of the cat was in the show.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it. I watched the episode. It's the episode where Kelso gets like a hitchhiker, like a ride from like a truck driver. He hitches, and the truck driver
Oh.
is the cat. Because the whole episode, I'm like, I know this voice. Who is?
It's a very specific voice. I use gifs of that cat constantly. I love the one of him evil laughing. It's the
Yes,
best. I
yeah.
love that cat. He's special to me
Yeah.
in my childhood. All right, I think this is where we stop because this only goes other places, but we'll save a couple questions for next week. This was
Yeah.
good, Donnie. As per usual, we crushed it.
Fun show.
All right, before we get out of here, I'm going to quickly give a shout out to our Patreon producers at the on-air producer level. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thanks to everybody for your retweets and your lower level Patreon and your hanging out in the Discord, hanging out in chat. We love you. If you want to catch us on the internet, you can come in the Discord or on Twitter. I'm ET Dragon and he is Eat the Hype. And it's fun to follow us on Twitter because we tweet ridiculous things. Donnie starts fights on Twitter. I tweet cat gifs.
I haven't started a fight on Twitter in like at least 2 weeks.
It's been a minute. You're due.
I saved it all for this Ubisoft thing at the start of the show.
You went.
They showed that
thing.
thing and I just glazed over. I'm
then
numb. I'm numb to any publisher going, here's our new, like I hear free to play. And I'm like, I just
He was
turn
very
it off.
mad. He's going to be fine. Don't worry. We have a support group for Donnie for this. All right. The on-air producers are Michael Masick, Edwin Callow, Stephen Keller, Nick Creature, Ben Moxham, Nick Fallhaber, Paul Calico, Kyle Heyman, Devin Tyus, Josh Bourbon, RJ Kern, Horse Girl 69, Zach Adams, and Joe Wilson. Thank you, folks. We appreciate you. I think that's going to do it, Donnie. Did we cover everything?
I think so.
Did we do it? All right, cool. Thank you for listening, folks. And until next week, play some video games.
Peace.